It's time for Shawn and Maya in the morning.
Quick pitch to Walter, looking for the record, cuts back, he's got it, he's out of it at 25 to the 26-yard line. Walter Payton becomes the National Football League all-time leading rusher. Jordan, open, Chicago with the lead. The Chicago Bulls have won their 6th NBA championship. Chicago has won the Stanley Cup. Palmero over the head of Jenks. Uribe charges, throws, out! And the White Sox have won the World Series.
A little bouncer slowly toward Bryant. He will glove it to Rizzo. It's in time. And the Chicago Cubs win the World Series.
What up, what up, what up? Welcome to Shawn and Maya in the morning on this hump day edition. Guys, I'm your boy, the Superback Shawn Sierra. Thanks for tuning in. Why does it look a little weird? It looks a little... Oh. We got the text line chat firing up already. I see you, Vernon. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in, man. I'm your boy, the Superback Shawn Sierra, and man, we got a great show for you. Thanks for tuning in. Now, if you're watching this on Facebook Live, well, then I guess you found us on Facebook. Now, if you're watching this on the app, I guess you found us on the app. But do me a favor, if you haven't downloaded the app, please do so. Wherever you get your apps from, Google Play, iTunes, Amazon, wherever you get your apps from, please download the app. And if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, I guess you found us on YouTube. Now, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please. Por favor, per favor, If, from my Spanish and all my Italian people, per favor, Download, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's SportsZone Chicago as well. Okay. We truly, truly appreciate it. Now, listen, you can also tweet the show. You can tweet us at SM_mornings, at SM_mornings, or at SportsZone Shy, at CHI. Tweet us at SportsZone Shy, CHI. Now, if you want to follow me, just me, personally online, want to know what I did? Let me tell you what I did. Want to know what I did? Here's what I did. I made it nice and easy for you folks. Nice and easy. One handle for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, the Snapper. All one handle at the Shawn Sierra. If you want to follow my lovely co-host, Maya Akai, you can follow her on Facebook and Twitter at the Sports Chica. If you want to follow her on Instagram because you do it just for the gram, then you just follow her at Maya_Akai. It's MAYA_AKAI. We got a great show for you, but first, I would be remiss if I didn't bring him out. He is our guy. I want to say what's up to him. He is the man behind the curtain, the whiz, the guy who does it all. He is my Puerto Rican Swiss Army knife, Ivan Vargas. Ivan, what's up, Papa? How are you?
Good morning, Shawn. I'm good. I'm trying to save my voice. Sorry I didn't pop in earlier off screen, but I'm like trying to save my voice for today because we got the NFL keeps like sending us in for a loop with this.
Where do we go? Which way do we go?
The Steelers Ravens game. So like I'll be covering that on the Basement Monsters Game Day podcast. But also we got Halitech Hall later on tonight. So I'm just like I got tea going. I'm trying to soothe my voice. I'm trying to save my voice. So I will be at a minimum today.
Okay, so you're gonna make me work, is what you're saying?
Hey.
Okay.
I might have it's on you today. This is Jordan taking over. Let Jordan take over.
Okay. Since you put it that way, I got it. I got it. Hey, listen, we got a great show for you. 10 o'clock, Cam Ellis from NBC Sports Chicago is going to call in and going to talk. Yeah, so Vernon, I did see it. The latest news on the Roos about him. Don't worry, we got it covered. Cam Ellis from NBC Sports Chicago is going to call in. We're going to talk a little Bears football. Is it inevitable? Are Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy gone? Is Matt Nagy gone? So we have a lot of questions. What's going on with Khalil Mack? What's going on with Eddie Jackson? Because they're making some business decisions that they weren't making some football decisions on the field Sunday night. So we're going to talk to Cam Ellis at 10 o'clock. And 11 o'clock, our guy, man, it's so good to have him back. He's been busy like a son of a gun. Darnell Mayberry. Yesterday was Bulls Media Day, and Darnell Mayberry he covers the Bulls for The Athletic. So we're going to talk to him about moving forward this season as training camp started yesterday. And you know what? It's going to be a pardon me. Interesting season. One that I'm looking forward to. If you see, I'm decked out in my Chicago Bulls regalia. That's a really fancy word for my Chicago Bulls gear. And I'm looking forward to talk to D and get his thoughts on the Bulls. What kind of vibe, what kind of energy. See if he's feeling that quote unquote different energy like Zach LaVine's feeling from this new organization. So Cam Ellis, NBC Sports Chicago with Bears Talk at 10. And Darnell Mayberry from The Athletic with Bulls Talk at 11. So, sorry. I was gonna ask Ivan something, but he's saving his voice.
You could talk to me. Like I'm just,
okay. Thanks.
Like, I'll speak. I'm just gonna be like I'm gonna be reserved on my choices today. Well, so what's up?
So you're not gonna get full Ivan Vargas on us right now. It's just chill.
No, you're not gonna get the full Ivan today. You'll get some action later on, especially if it's a good game with these Ravens and Steelers. Because I just want to see good football, man. That's all I want.
You know what? That's what a lot of us want to see, and it's tough with that because when you keep moving games, like there's nothing you can do to, it. The mental aspect of it. You played the game, okay, and so the mental aspect of it is huge. And when you're told, okay, we're playing today, okay, good, you're focused on today. Oh no, we're playing tomorrow. Okay, you're focused on. Oh no, we're playing the next day. Oh, that messes with you psychologically. And I just hope that these players are able to deal with it because it is a mind blow. It is a mind blow, and it's bad enough when you're off and you're not playing every Sunday. Then you're supposed to play Thursday. Then they're going Tuesday. You know what I mean? So it's tough. It's tough on the players, and I agree with that. I just hope that it's some good football.
Well, it's to that point, and I was thinking about this yesterday and the day before. It was just that. Like if you're a football player, a professional football player at that, and I never reached the professional ranks, but just a football player. When you know what game day is, you're practicing for that day. The last thing on your mind should be anything else but that, because you only have one game. This isn't baseball where tomorrow we'll get them. No, you have 1 week. You have 1 week to prepare for one game. So if your mind is on something else, or if you're worried about something else, if you have a distraction or something that really is just taking your focus off of the game or straining it away from it a little bit, who knows what mistakes you might end up making in the game. You know what I'm saying? Football, you should be 100% focused because you work all week long for one day, and not knowing when that day might be, that's a huge distraction.
As football players, we have, and athletes in general, you have rituals that you go through. Okay, boom, boom, boom. What you do on this day, this day, this day, this day, this day, game day, pre-game. Okay, we're very superstitious. Players are. I'll wear. I got to wear my socks a certain way. So if we're wearing home, if it's a home game for us, then my sock and glove coordination has to be a certain way. And if it's an away game, then I need different shoes, and I need, you know what I mean? So, and we all have different things. My warm up routine, and when that's just thrown off, it really it's a mind blow. It really is. And so again, that's what I was saying. And I hope everything turns out well today, because it really has a chance to go bad for both and just get bad football. But you know what? Let's remember, the NFL is a business. They don't really care. They just want it on TV. They get their money. You get football, and everyone's, well, the NFL is happy. Many people are happy. It's just certain people who aren't happy with the quality of football, because the quality of football is definitely subpar on a Thursday. So, but you know what? Let's hop into our first segment, guys. You know how we do. The first segment of every show is called Top of the Morning to you, and these are the hot topics of the night before, or just the sports in general. And boy, oh boy, do we have some doozies. The Top of the Morning segment is powered by the Chicago Crusader newspaper, and with that, we want to bring in their guy, our guy, your guy. He is a sports editor over there. He's my man. He's looking funky, fresh, dressed to impress, ready to party. Money in his pocket, down and move your body. Y'all don't know about Little MC Light. You don't know about that. It's all right. Sorry. I had to dig in the crates, and it's way too far back for you. But you can find him on Twitter at ACA Joe. Guys, just welcome back our boy Joseph Phillips. Joseph, what's up, Papa?
Y'all hear me? Oh, here we go. Hey, what's up? What's up, guys? God bless. What's up, Papa?
How you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. Doing great. Just getting the day going and ready to roll. Like yesterday, I got a chance to interview Zach LaVine and Lori Marketing, Billy Donovan, and Arturus. So it was really nice.
Oh, good. That's right. Because yesterday was media day, or start of training camp media day, and I was watching. We were watching it. We posted it on SportsZone Chicago, and I posted it on my own personal page too. So that's why you see I'm decked out in my Bulls regalia. I need another Bulls hat. So I was at Burlington, right? And they had this really nice Bulls hat that I wanted. And first of all, it's Burlington, so it's not full price. I'm like, oh damn, a snap! Let me grab it. And it was a fit. They had fitted hats,
right?
And you know damn well they didn't have my size. I'm like, because it's just my luck. I'm really liking. I'm feeling this Bulls hat. I'm like, I want to wear it was a red one. I want to wear this red joint. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it because I wear this one all the time. I don't have very many Bulls hats. I have tons of White Sox, but not Bulls. I have tons of Bears, but not Bulls.
Right.
Because I haven't been on the Bulls train for a long time. You know what I mean?
Right.
No need to get new, no need to get new stuff because they were whack. But now I was like, oh snap! I saw it and they did not have my size, Joe. I was so pissed.
Disappointing, man. I always try to stick to the Bulls logo. Like if I can find something with that bull on the front, I'm happy. That red bull. I love it.
Yeah, it was dope. So we'll see. I'll get some more Bulls hats for the season coming up. Because I'm excited about it. Well, let's get right to it, man. The first top of the morning topic. Yesterday, Joe, what you kicked it off, boy. Great minds that think alike, Joseph. Bulls Media Day, the training camp kicked off yesterday. And according to Zach LaVine, he said there was a quote-unquote different energy in the facility around the organization moving forward. Your thoughts on that? Is everyone starting to really like and are they starting to feel and buy what Arturas Karnisovas is selling?
Well, they're going to have to because with a new regime in place, there's either two things they're going to do. They're going to let you start over from scratch and prove yourself, or they're going to go off of what the last regime told them about you individually. And right now, this is a good start for all Bulls players. The reason why I say that, because I think Arturas is giving everybody a fair chance to earn their spots, And from that, it gives you a chance to prove yourself again, one, and then two, prove to the organization that you have a work ethic, and then three, you're coming into a positive atmosphere and a positive culture, which is what Chicago fans have been begging for. So with Arturas at the wheel, there's going to be a different attitude going around Chicago Bulls training camp. And hopefully Zach LaVine takes advantage of it, along with Lori Marketing and Otto Porter, who got busted partying in his basement with all the girls.
Where them girls at?
Which is not a good way. Which is not a good way to start with this regime. You don't want to start off like that. So
because of that, I didn't put that on the rundown, but because of that it has been rumored that he's already been put on the trading block.
Yeah, I heard about that.
So,
but they spoke on him yesterday in a press conference as if they had him in the starting lineup, which they have to do. But when people ask questions about it, I think Billy was straightforward with it. Arturas was straightforward with it, and probably give him a chance to prove himself. One
of the things that I realize, and I I don't like making blanket statements. Okay, but I will. In my dealings with like Eastern European people, they're very blunt in how they approach you or talk with you. And it's not a disrespectful way. We may find it disrespectful because we're not used to talking like that, but that's how they talk. When I was a teacher, I had a lot of Polish kids over in Curie on the southwest side, Maria Skłodowska Curie. Okay, so and that's the way that they talk. And Arturas Karnisovas yesterday, and listening to his interview, he's very direct.
Yeah,
he's not a bull jiver. He doesn't, he doesn't blow smoke up your ass. Like, he tells it how it is. And I respect that. I really, really do. And I think with him talking, I felt that different energy. With him answering questions, I felt something different. That it's not, I don't want to say legit, because guard packs were legit. They just weren't good at their jobs. I felt that this was more of what I want for the Bears, more cutthroat, more business-like. Like, okay, this is it, just case in point, Otto Porter Jr. Okay, you want to do this and embarrass us right here? Boom, boom. Rumor has it you're on a trading block, quick, fast, in a hurry. This seems like it's a lot more business because this team has been in basketball hell, purgatory, for the ever since Derrick Rose left. Hell, even when he was here toward the end of his stint here. So I'm liking Arturas Karnisovas. I love the way I love his demeanor. I love the way he answers questions. And I felt that different energy yesterday.
Yeah, I totally agree. He was ready to go. His questions were straight to the point without any hesitation.
Mm-hmm.
And in addition to that, he was serious business, Hey, like I was saying, if you mess this up with this new regime, that's on you. Hey, just know this, you're on your way out of the door, and no one's untouchable on his roster. And I think he kind of made that clear yesterday. And just like Zach LaVine did when they asked him about the trade rumors, he said, hey, that's part of the business, and if they decide to move on from me, I just have to prepare myself for the next move. And I think that's what's going on now. Everything is business-like. It's like either you perform or you got to go. It's real serious. Like, we making it so easy for you. We giving you all the accommodations. We taking you on the world tour, on the city tours around Chicago. Some of y'all getting paid, making $28 million a year. We're doing everything you've asked of us, him and Mark Eversley. So they're being kind, they're being nice about it, but at the same time, they want to see who's going to blow their opportunity. They're waiting for someone to blow their opportunity.
It's funny. I'm glad you mentioned him, because we're not hearing a lot about him. It's all AK. It's all Arturas Karnisovas, because he's the guy in charge of basketball operations. We're not hearing a lot about Mark Eversley. That concerns me a little bit. I would like to have his fingerprints on it, but since Arturas is his boss and he's new as well, and he's just built a playoff team in Denver, I can understand why a lot of the media is like, okay, Arturas, and not so much Mark.
Right.
And maybe that'll allow Mark to work, all the pressure is off him, all the attention's off him, because it's on Arturas. But I mean, if I'm not mistaken, wouldn't Mark be the guy making the basketball decisions? He just got to run it by his boss, AK.
Right. And I think it's like a Theo and Jed type situation.
Okay.
You know how Theo got all the credit, but even though Jed was the GM, Jed was low key doing work. Like, he was too busy trying to pull off trades. And I'm glad that Mark Eversley has I'm not saying he's very silent. I'm just saying that he has a work ethic. Like, he's probably doing work right now. Like, hey, I'm evaluating players. I'm trying to make sure that player development is in order, because that's where they're going. It's about serious business right now. And I think it's going to be times when Mark Eversley do speak, but we don't want another Jerry Cross situation where you're talking about organizations win championship every time Michael Jordan hit a game-winning shot. We don't need to hear that no more. I think they learned their lesson from The Last Dance. The more that management is out of the picture, the better it is for the players.
I'll say this though, Joseph. I like the fact that they're married at the hip, like that you have Mark Eversley and Arturas. It's kind of like you said, a Jed and Theo type of thing. Because it's good to have that second voice to like bounce your ideas off. Because you don't want a guy just coming in here and making decisions, but like his decisions aren't consistent, or you don't have any type of anybody to bounce. You know what I'm saying? Anybody to go ahead and really bounce your ideas off of. Really go ahead and make sure that what you're thinking is the correct way, or make sure you're on the right path. You know what I'm saying? Somebody to keep pace with you. I like that aspect of having them together. But I do believe that Mark Eversley, I think he's just working behind. He's like, I don't think he really, in my mind, the way I perceive who he is and how he just wanted to get down to business, like you said, that this is all business. Get this team on the right path. Get it because. Look at the All-Star game. You didn't have a player in the All-Star game, and you had your fan base in your home city booing you on national television morning to night the entire weekend.
Yeah. Fire guard packs. And don't forget they have Billy Donovan also, who has a basketball acumen, and yesterday he really impressed me in the press conference because he actually knew what he was talking about. Like, what better to have a New York guard and a Chicago point guard running, coaching your squad. Chicago and New York in your backcourt with Billy Donovan and Mo Cheeks. Yeah. When I'm talking about toughness and you can learn from the best, you can actually learn from the best. And Mo Cheeks and Billy Donovan are like this, So that's his go-to guy. Just like AK and Mark Eversley are like this. Now you got Mo Cheeks and Billy Donovan. They're going to pretty much teach them how to play the game of basketball the right way. And player development is where it starts.
Yeah, it really is. And you know what? And maybe, I'm sure they talked about this and maybe they said, hey, listen, AK, and maybe Mark's happy with it too, because now I don't have to answer questions. I don't have to go to interviews. I get to work. I get to really, really delve into what it is that I'm doing. And I don't have to, because let's be honest, players most of the time they hate interview sessions. They hate pressers. Management hates pressers. They just don't want to sit there and talk to people and you get people asking stupid questions or repetitive questions or just nonsensical questions. Like, come on, you know what I mean? So a lot of time, most people, they don't like the press conferences that they have to attend. And if Mark Eversley is one of those people, he's like, man, you take all the heat, and rightfully so. AK, you're the new big man on campus. You're running this whole thing. Mark just happens to be underneath you. You never want to interview the number 2 guy. You always want to interview the number 1 guy, the highest paid guy in the team, the new free agent or whatever. And so I think it's a good thing for Mark Eversley. So it's allowing him to, as I said, just to go about his business, get his work done, and really stay out of the spotlight until necessary. So,
and I think he was like that in Philly. Like, when you needed to talk to him, you spoke to him. He said what he had to say, and then he remained low key. I think they're kind of moving away from the age of one guy running it all, and I'm kind of glad that the Bulls are doing that, where how you have that figurehead or that face where the guy does all the talking, but I don't think that's the situation in this case. I think they're actually showing a collaborative effort with the development team, as Billy Donovan mentioned yesterday, some of the brightest minds in the NBA are joining forces with the Bulls, and our scouting team, how you watch video, the things that you're attracting from the video. What Billy Donovan may see may be different than what Jim Boylan may see. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. And he said that yesterday. Like he said something very intelligent. He was like, when I watch video, he's watching how guys react on defense. He's not looking at if they have a good attitude or a good spirit. You see what I mean? Like stuff that Boylan was talking about. He was talking basketball. That's what Billy Donovan was doing yesterday.
That's what he does. Well, let's move on. The next top of the morning topic, and I think this is what Vernon's talking about. well, this first one isn't. La Russa. Tony La Russa fills out his staff for the Chicago White Sox. So, I think that's important. And the people he mentioned, there's some people who hung over. They were hangovers or layovers, or they're with the team before, but there are some new things. So the bench coach is Miguel Cairo. Okay, Cairo. The pitching coach is Ethan Katz. Assistant pitching coach is Kurt Hasler. The hitting coach is Frank Menachino. Assistant hitting coach is Howie Clark. First base coach Daryl Boston. Third base coach Joe McEwing. And the analytics coordinator is Shelly Duncan. Okay, so Cairo's his first season as a bench coach. He's 46. First season as a bench coach. He's Venezuelan.
I remember Miguel played with the Cubs.
Yeah, Miguel Cairo. Yeah, in 1997 and 2001, he was there. So he's filled out his roster, which is the coaching staff, which I think is good. I think is great. And now let's get ready to get to work. Let's get ready to get to Arizona. Get ready to, because before you know it, it's here. We're in December. Oh, and next thing you know, once the new year starts, you're ready to roll, because that first month's going to go by quick, fast, in a hurry, and you report in February. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But it's good that he got that nailed down. One of the cool things about it is Katz, the pitching coach, Ethan Katz, has a connection with the White Sox already. Even though he's entering his first season as a pitching coach, he was the assistant pitching coach with the Giants, the San Francisco Giants last year. He coached our guy Lucas Giolito when Lucas Giolito was in high school. So there's some familiarity there. And if for whatever reason James McCann leaves, because there are a lot of suitors for James McCann and the White Sox aren't able to re-sign him, he'll have a familiar face where hopefully he can feel comfortable every fifth day when he goes on the mound.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I think that should have been their first order of business. Resign James McCann. That would have signaled the fans, letting them know that I think Giolito is our ace for this staff. So therefore, we're going to bring his catcher back. That should have been the first order of business for Mr. Reinsdorf. Hopefully, you guys can get into the negotiations with him, even though he's probably going to get a bigger contract. But I thought that should have been the first order of business, just to show the fans that, hey, we're serious about winning this thing. Second, congratulations to Mr. La Russa. I don't know if he gave Abreu a call yet or Tim Anderson a call yet.
He did talk to Anderson.
Oh, good. Okay, great. So he threw that, swept that under the rug. Now he has the staff in place. It sounds like he has a few familiar faces that he likes on his staff, along with some throwbacks and carryovers from the past White Sox team. So this is good for the Sox. Seems like there's a revamp in the clubhouse where this is the beginning of dealing with new leadership, and this is where Mr. La Russa has to decide, am I going to be a authoritarian, micromanaging type coach like I used to be, or I'm going to adjust to the times and learn how to delegate some of my responsibility.
And listen, we got to take a quick break. And on the other side of the break, we have more top of the morning topics. So don't go anywhere, folks. Keep it locked right here. Shawn and Maya on SportsZone Chicago.
BoomerNaturals.com presents the Sports Flash on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone. White Sox manager Tony La Russa is changing his plea in a drunk driving case in Arizona. He had previously pleaded not guilty to a pair of drunk driving charges. It now appears he'll plead guilty to at least some charges at a hearing on December 21st. New Bulls coach Billy Donovan has only one losing season over his last 22 as a coach. He knows the task is tall as he takes over a Chicago franchise that's 87 games under 500 over the last 3 seasons. They haven't haven't had a winning campaign since 2016. Training camp is underway, the team bringing back 13 of 15 from the main roster last season. Chris Dunn and Shaquille Harrison have departed. Newcomers include 4th overall pick Patrick Williams, undrafted free agent Devin Dotson, along with Garrett Temple, Noah Vonleh, and Zach Norville Jr. Boomer Naturals, your source for 3-layer protective face masks. Breathable protection for adults and kids. Save 20% with promo code SPORTS at boomernaturals.com. Doug Sanders, that's the Sports Flash, 1330 95.9 The Zone.
Listening to this Allstate commercial about savings might be the hardest thing about getting those savings. Save for simply becoming an Allstate customer. Save more for adding DriveWise. And save even more for driving safely. Visit Allstate.com or contact your local agent for a quote today. Allstate. Minimum effort, maximum reward.
Not available in every state. New customer savings based on early signing discount. DriveWise is an optional feature. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
If I'm not commuting anymore, where do I really want to live?
While you handle life's questions, Merrill Guided Investing helps you manage your portfolio and invest for your next move with the option to work with an advisor at a low cost and minimum. Merrill, a Bank of America company. Visit merrilledge.com/investing goals to get started today.
Investing involves risk. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith Incorporated, both a registered broker-dealer and investment advisor, member SIPC. Investment products are not FDIC insured or not bank guaranteed and may lose value.
And this is not a peace sign either. We're back to back. Or we chomping, you know what I'm saying? And this is cutting down nets and chomping. I've had many dreams about this, for real, literally. And it's just exciting to have the draft in your hometown too. I mean, we're going to the NBA. We're going to the NBA.
With the 9th pick, the Chicago Bulls draft Joakim Noah from the University of Florida.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning at SportsZone Chicago. Sorry, I had a little thing there.
You good? You got it?
I'm good. That was Joakim Noah when he got drafted. That was draft night in the NBA. What was that 11 years ago?
Yeah, 2007, 2008.
Damn. 12, 13 years ago. Unbelievable. But Joakim Noah he was released by the Clippers. Remember, if you guys remember, he was signed by the Clippers for the playoffs. But now he was released at the end of the season, and his agent has said that he is most likely headed toward retirement. I don't know about you, but Joakim Noah is the kind of player that Chicagoans just freaking loved. You talk about a blue collar guy. Now, mind you, this is a kid who grew up he had a privileged life. Okay. His mom was a supermodel. His dad, if you didn't know, is former tennis player Yannick Noah. Okay. Had a decent life growing up in New York City. Obviously got to play in Florida, won back-to-back national championships under Billy Donovan. And the thing that really endeared him to Chicago and Chicagoans was this dude came to work every single night.
That's right.
He wasn't playing. He was working. And you know what? And as Chicago being a blue collar city, Chicagoans for the most part being blue collar fans, nothing but love. When you see someone going out there making the money they're making, and they're throwing their bodies around and they're doing all the dirty work, all the hard stuff that most people don't want to do, that's nothing but love. And he was well respected and well adored throughout the city of Chicago by a lot of people, even people who weren't even basketball fans like Joakim Noah because of his eccentric personality. But you know what? You knew what you were getting when he was on the floor, and that was 110% every single moment.
Yes. When I think of the name Joakim Noah, the first thing that comes to my mind is competitor. Like he competed night in, night out. He had one year where he kind of slacked off because he was a little cocky and young. But once he got the message that you have to get in the gym and put in the work, When I'm talking about he hit the weight room. I mean, he became a leader, a vocal leader on his team. And he was an enforcer too,
Yeah.
He protected Derek, He wasn't afraid of LeBron or LaFraud James. He stood up against him, and I'm glad he called him out, even to his very last game. I think the Bulls should retire his jersey. I know I don't want to go too far, but I think
that's a little too far, but okay.
From a center perspective, just his contributions to the team, and his hard hustle and muscle, they should bring him home, either retire him or,
yeah,
a little ceremony for him, do a little ceremony like they did for Luol Deng.
I think you're right. I think if he signs to a one-day contract so he can sign and retire a Bull, I think that would be great. I don't know. I disagree with you on retiring his jersey, but I do think they should bring him back for at halftime of a game and honor him for his contributions. Because while he was here, he was the heart and soul of this team. I mean, Derek was a superstar, but that dude, you talk about the hustle and you talked about the dirty work and you talk about the emotion, you talk about the passion, remember he's going it was the Boston series. He's going down the right sideline and giving the ball. He dunks. He's like, ah! After he dunks and one. I mean, our emotion ran through him. He was the heartbeat of this team. And like I said, Derek was a superstar, but Joe was the emotional leader and the heartbeat of this team.
You know what? I feel like that's exactly what the Bulls should do. Think about it, because he has his coach there in Billy Donovan.
Yeah.
Think about reconnecting the bridge to that hustle and bustle, that hard work that we were talking about earlier. Think about reconnecting that bridge to that hard work Bulls. Find that toughness, that energy, that emotion, that care for the game. That love for the game. Think about reconnecting that bridge with bringing back Joakim Noah, and he gets to finish his career where it started. He gets to finish his career, saying goodbye to, with his coach on the floor, with his college coach on the floor, the guy that helped him get there. And what a way to send this organization into another generation, and hopefully a more prosperous generation, than to close it with somebody is hardworking and as fun. So fans love Joakim. Yeah. Talk about closing a chapter the right way. That would be the correct way for the Bulls to close out that chapter. And that'd be the first thing I think that I would see that would be like, man, that was exactly how you do that. That's exactly how you send a former player off, a former fan favorite off, and starting a new era in your franchise.
Yeah. And he never teamed up with LeBron James. That's one of the things I liked about him. Like, he could have joined super teams. He could have did all of this stuff, but he was one of the first guys I saw actually stand up, to Miami. Hey, we're not afraid of you guys. I know y'all stacked y'all squad. I know that, y'all Hollywood over there, like he kept calling them Hollywood. D-Wade Hollywood, Bronze Hollywood, Chris Bosh Hollywood. He was going in, and he backed up his talk a little bit,
Yeah, Vernon, I mean, you're going to disagree on this a little. Well, I don't know about disagree, but I don't think everyone hated Joakim Noah his first year. He got a lot of. He was named the Joke. A lot of it had to do with his game day or his draft day, outfit, where because first of all he's tall, he's lanky, got the big old feet, he looked like a clown. He had the bow tie, and he just had a little different seersucker suit, and he comes out and he's, people are making fun of him, like I said, looking like Krusty the Clown type deal. And his rookie year was tough, but I'll tell you this, and this is why people loved him. If you notice, every year he found the weight room. Oh. He lived, he eated it, he slept it, he did everything in that way. That dude came back. When you see Joakim Noah when he was drafted, did you see Joakim Noah in 2011, 2012, like in the with his heyday with the Bulls? That's two different. Yeah, that's two different things, because that dude was eating some iron, and again, this is what great players do. Okay, every year Michael Jordan would always add one thing to his repertoire. Okay. And it seemed like that Joakim Noah would do the same. He would add one thing. The first one year it could have been, a mid-range jumper, as ugly as sin, but he got it to fall on a consistent basis. Then he found the weight room. All these things, when you see these things from athletes, it fans respect them more, because now I see that you've been working on your craft. Now I see that you're not just hanging out at the beach because you're a multimillionaire out in LA or out in Miami all off season. I see you've been putting in the work, and that's nothing but love and respect.
Right. And once he put that bong away, because that was another thing that Joe, I know Joe loves smoking him some weed, man. Like, Joe, we used to be like, Joe, where's Joe? Go get Joe. Joe had the bong, man. I told him he had like freezers full of weed, But once he started calming down a little bit, he kind of like took a break from that a little bit, got himself back in the gym, and started recommitting himself. And I was proud to see him do that. Yeah,
man, I've always been a big Joe fan, dude. Always. Just, I like this talk. He's a New York guy, so he's a big city guy. He's a competitor. And again, you might think because he had a privileged life, because he grew up, with famous parents, that he might be, might be a little soft, might be a little, one of those type of kids.
Right.
And man, you saw the competitiveness at Florida. You saw the competitiveness here when he was, so I got mad respect. I got mad love for Joakim Noah, man. This is just, his feet couldn't hold him up. The plantar fasciitis, that really did a number on him. And so it was just unfortunate. Sometimes your body just.
What about this? What about this, Shawn? He retires, right? And Billy Donovan brings him on to his coaching staff.
Yes, I think that's a great idea. I think that's a great idea. Because he's young enough to connect with these guys, okay, but he's old enough where they give him their respect, because he's fresh out of the league, literally fresh out of the league. But if you know anything about basketball, you know what kind of player he was. That's the guy you got nothing but respect for.
Yeah, or at least put him in player development. Like have him to work with some of the bigs. Rebounding, being physical. And with Pat Williams, another guy who has a motor, try to maybe give Joe a call. Like, hey, man, I know you played your whole career running both ends of the floor. I'm actually trying to become that type of player. And now I have the offensive skill sets to add to that up and down the floor type of play. What advice would you give me as a rookie?
I think it's a win-win. I think that's one of the things you should do, is bring him back. And I think Billy the Kid knows that. Having coached him, he understands what he brings to the table and how beneficial that would be to this organization. So hopefully that's in play. And I would love to hear a sign, breaking news: Joakim Noah signed to the Chicago Bulls staff. That would make my day. I'd go get more Bull stuff, because I got a lot of Bull stuff that I just haven't worn. I told you I got some stuff with tags still on it, bro. From like 4 years ago.
Yeah, I got a Bulls hat my son bought me for my birthday. It's white, so I barely can wear it.
Right, right. Well, listen, the next top of the morning topic. We'll go back to Tony La Russa. Tony La Russa, and I think this is what Vernon was talking about earlier. Tony La Russa is expected to plead guilty to a DUI as opposed to non-guilty. So this is one of the things that really was frustrating to Sox fans, because of, first of all, you didn't want this. You didn't want Tony La Russa. Fans did. I'm saying. But now to have this whole scenario where now the White Sox knew that he had a DUI, and it's just stuff that we didn't need right now. Stuff we didn't need. And I don't know. It's bothersome to me. But I mean, it's not a deal breaker for me.
Right.
But it's just something that isn't necessary. Not when you have a team that's on the cusp. Okay. Not when you have a team that's on the cusp. And I also say that it might not be a bad thing. Remember, I used the example of Bobby Knight, when Bobby Knight would do a whole bunch of crazy stuff whenever he had really good teams. And what that does is take the focus off the team and puts it on the head coach or whoever's causing the ruckus. And, I think that, if the focus is off these young White Sox, they don't have to worry, the pressure's not on. They're talking about Tony, does it again. Feels good. Oh, sorry. And they're not talking about them. And so now they can continue to grow and continue to succeed without the constant pressure of, you went 1 for 4. How do you feel? You went this, you went that. Because the majority of the conversation and the spotlight and the attention is going to their manager. That's true.
And now, he pleaded guilty. So this is the start of his managerial career with his second opportunity as a manager with the White Sox. Mm-hmm. And trust me, if anything goes wrong, that's the first thing they're going to go back to, the media. I'm just being honest with you. Be like, oh, this guy started off wrong. He comes in with a negative attitude. But if he starts winning, they're going to sweep this under the rug, like what most media people do.
Like Shawn, you had pointed out to, because we all know you wanted Ozzy. I mean, that was no secret. Mm-hmm. But you used the analogy of comparing. You compared him to Billy Martin, like what the Yankees did, what Steinbrenner did with Billy Martin. Just kept bringing him back. Why is this not the same thing? You know what I'm saying? Obviously you had trouble with Billy Martin. You know what I'm saying? Obviously you had the same type of headstrong mentality, and I'm sure some of his players didn't like it. You think Reggie was in agreement with Billy Martin all the time? I don't think so. So for me, no. I'm not saying that what Tony has done or said is correct. I'm not siding with anybody. I'm just saying maybe tossing something like throwing a wrench in the machine might produce a product that's quality on the field. You never know what certain players need. Maybe you need that villain. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you need to play we're playing together. Maybe you need that type of mentality. Sometimes sometimes you need that. You need something that gets you like a chip. You know what I'm saying? You need that chip. And if Tony's going to be that chip for some of these guys on the team, so be it, as long as you're winning. If he comes in there and isn't winning, then you got a bigger problem. But as long as you're winning, I don't see why this couldn't be successful.
Yeah, Vernon asked, did La Russa reach out to the players already? Yes, he did. Tim Anderson had spoken on it. Which is kind of weird because, he spoke on it and said, he's not going to change his game for anybody. But, and that's fine. He's going I don't think it's a bad thing, Joe, because you made it sound like, oh my God, no.
No, I said, did La Russa say that or did
No. Anderson said that.
Okay.
He said, I'm not going to change, my way of playing for anybody. Right. But then all of a sudden, yesterday or 2 days ago, Tim Anderson takes a whole bunch of stuff off his social media, regarding the White Sox. So you're like, oh boy. So that's how players nowadays.
God bless you.
Excuse me. That's how players nowadays show that they're not happy. They remove mention of the team they're playing with on off of social media. So then you got to go find out, why did you move? But so we'll see. I don't know. I hope it doesn't really get to that point, but we can only hope and see. So.
Yeah, they need to deal with this. They need to apologize to Rick Hahn publicly, which they probably would never do. And also they need to identify who's the leader in the locker room. Is it going to be Tim Anderson? It's going to be Jose, or is it going to be Tony 2 times, La Russa?
I think it'll be the players. If they're smart, it'll be the players. You don't. The manager's not. They don't come to see the manager. They come to see the players. Right. I think Tim Anderson and Jose Abreu have done enough in this game to this point, especially Jose Abreu. But Tim Anderson is well on his way to be the leaders. Okay, where they're the face of the franchise, and it should be. It should be. It's it's called they're diverse, they're culturally diverse, and I think that's the way baseball is nowadays. A huge influx of Latin players, a decent number, not good enough in my opinion, but still a decent number of African American players. And that's just the way that the league is now. It's not just white guys playing. There's a slew of different races, ethnicities, nationalities, and I just think that's great. Yeah, good old boy Sox 2020. Vernon's on a roll. Vernon's on a roll today.
Vernon's like, I'm not holding back. Come on over to the Cubs side, bro.
See, now you're just talking that nonsense, Joseph.
Yeah.
Now you're just talking that nonsense. See,
you telling the truth.
See, what's I forget. See, there are times that I forget that you two are those people. There are times that I forget that you two are those people, but it's quickly reminded every show.
Hey man, we love you guys over there. We're trying to make peace. That's all.
Hey, so let's move on. This one I want to talk about, Joseph. The next top of the morning topic: a fan emails Roger Goodell after he got a backdoor loss and a gambling debt. So this is the thing. This is the thing. So let me get it straight, because I don't want to, definitely don't want to mess this up. But there was a fan who bet the Saints game. I want to get it right. He lost Seahawks game, and he lost because at the end of the game it was 7 points at that point, or it would have gone 6 points. It would have been 7 if they kicked the extra point. But they here it is. I couldn't pull up the article. So I'll read you part of it. This is from Bleacher Report. And this is what really, really has me concerned about sports in general. Okay. Carson Wentz. Okay. Seattle was leading with 23-9 in the final seconds. Carson Wentz, desperation, throws a touchdown pass somehow Richard Rodgers catches it. Then the Eagles made a move to go for 2, which they converted. Okay. The 23-17 scoreline cost all of the Seattle bettors their payday, because the line was 6.5, and with that 2-point conversion instead of the 1 point, all the people who had bet on Seattle lost. Now, there was a guy who bet $500,000 on Seattle, and obviously he lost that money. Trust me, they know when there's a big bet on, they know where the money's at. You can tell because the line will move. And I just think that here let me read you the letter that this guy wrote to Roger Goodell. And this is so let me just start off by saying that I've been an avid fan of the National Football League for a while now. However, I'm beginning to wonder what this league has become. Throughout this season, there have been plenty of evidence to suggest that the NFL is rigged. However, I refuse to believe it. I had faith in my favorite league, but it has quickly faded after this Monday night game. The reason I'm writing this is for a variety of reasons. As I'm sure you're well aware, over 90% of America was on the Seattle Seahawks at -6.5. So they were favored by 6.5 points. The score going into the final drive was 23-9. And even with a touchdown, the spread still would have cashed in on any normal game. But the integrity of the game was lost well before this moment. Throughout the game, once Phillies started moving the ball, the refs were giving terrible spots. To start, a first down was given in the second half, which was clearly a yard short. Another time, Carson Wentz got away with an obvious intentional grounding. It was clear and obvious he threw the ball 4 yards short, as the coach on the sideline caught it well short of the line of scrimmage, which in your rule book is intentional grounding. The game was never fair to begin with, and going back to the final drive, the TV was expected to make the score 23-15. Now, I have studied analytics, and there's absolutely no reason to go for 2 in this situation except for one reason, and one reason only. That is because Vegas had an influence in the game, and I fear the NFL has become corrupt. All I ask is that you compensate all the Seattle bettors that you wronged tonight. I will send my Venmo and expecting a response shortly. All I ask in return, fix your game. This is the NFL. Not put money in Vegas's hand. Not put money in Vegas's hands league. I expected more. Thank you. So, yeah, why would you go for 2? You know, so I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, but I can see them going for 2, and here's why. Is that you with the 2, because now it's only 6. So if they're able to get another touchdown somehow, some way, a touchdown, extra point, you win the game. As opposed to going for 1, having to get, you score a touchdown. I don't want to have to take a 2. You know, if I go for 2 at that point, I can win the game, no problem, or I could just go for the tie. So I'm not sure if I buy that, but I'm a conspiracy theorist, Joe, and I wouldn't put it past anyone.
Well,
not the NFL either.
This is exactly why I didn't want gambling legalized and involved with the game, because I knew sooner or later, and they already thought it was scripted anyway, but just to have that out there like that, I knew that there was going to be some corruption behind that. You know, once you start legalizing gambling, the mob gets involved. That's it. It's almost like boxing, you know?
Yeah.
You know the fix is in. That's where the word "the fix is in" came from. You know, like between boxing and baseball, I think they're one of the 2 of the most corrupt sports out there, you know. But at the end of the day, now you got the NFL fixing games, and that's not good for the fans. I just want gambling to stay far away from the game, because now you got other people controlling the outcomes of teams, and I don't like that, you know. Now with our Bears, you know, I can't speak for them because they throw games every Sunday. But, the dive, as they say in boxing. But at the end of the day, this is exactly why I didn't want gambling in football, because now you get complaints from fans about, hey man, I'm noticing this, I'm noticing these discrepancies in possessions. And even on Sunday, I noticed a bad call by the referee. You remember when Aaron Rodgers got hit?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it really, they didn't even touch him, but they called a roughing the passer, you know, and it kind of gave him a field position. I'm just like, come on, guys. I know y'all doing stuff for TV, but it's getting ridiculous now. It was so fake. You know?
Guy Nate Turner, who played for Nebraska and played for the Buffalo Bills, tuned in. He says, chimed in. He said the mob has been involved.
Yeah,
so,
I know.
So,
I know.
So that's crazy, but I agree with you. You know, I think Green Bay gets a hell of a lot more calls whenever, you know, they're like the darlings. I don't know why, especially when they play the Bears. Especially they get everything in their mom, all the calls, all the BS calls for Roger and whatnot. So I don't know, but man, it sure as hell seems fishy.
Smells like a fish, tastes like a fish. It is a fish, honestly.
It's silly. Hey Joe, man, we got to take a break, but hey, thanks for coming on, Papa. We will see you on Friday.
All right, guys.
What stories you got coming up this week?
I'm doing a feature story on Zach LaVine.
Mm-hmm.
From yesterday's interview. Just going to talk about, you know, just some of his goals for this season. Then in addition to that, I hope you guys watching this game tonight. Illinois versus Baylor, number 2 versus number 5. Big Ten matchup. That's going to be a great game. Check it out, Shawn. Check it out, Ivan. Yeah. And then last but not least, unfortunately, I have to write about the Bears again. So that'll be pretty interesting.
Cool. Great stuff, Papa. We'll see you on Friday.
All right. God bless you guys. Peace out.
All right, man. Guys, we got to take a quick break. And on the other side of the break, we're going to switch and if you have hair, you may want to pull it out. We're going to talk a little Bears with our guy, Cam Ellis from NBC Sports Chicago. And let's try not to get too crazy. But, man, I have a lot of questions for Cam. I'm looking forward to it. So keep it locked right here. Cam Ellis, NBC Sports Chicago with Bears Talk coming up next right here on Shawn and Maya on SportsZone Chicago.
BoomerNaturals.com presents the Sports Flash on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone. White Sox manager Tony La Russa is changing his plea in a drunk driving case in Arizona. He had previously pleaded not guilty to a pair of drunk driving charges. It now appears he'll plead guilty to at least some charges at a hearing on December 21st. New Bulls coach Billy Donovan has only one losing season over his last 22 as a coach. He knows the task is tall as he takes over a Chicago franchise that's 87 games under 500 over the last 3 seasons. They haven't had a winning campaign since 2016. Training camp is underway, the team bringing back 13 of 15 from the main roster last season. Chris Dunn and Shaquille Harrison have departed. Newcomers include 4th overall pick Patrick Williams, undrafted free agent Devin Dotson, along with Garrett Temple, Noah Vonleh, and Zach Norville Jr. Boomer Naturals, your source for 3-layer protective face masks. Breathable protection for adults and kids. Save 20% with promo code SPORTS at BoomerNaturals.com. Doug Sanders, that's the Sports Flash, 1330 95.9 The Zone.
Listening to this Allstate commercial about savings might be the hardest thing about getting those savings. Save for simply becoming an Allstate customer. Save more for adding DriveWise. And save even more for driving safely. Visit Allstate.com or contact your local agent for a quote today. Allstate. Minimum effort, maximum reward.
Not available in every state. New customer savings based on early signing discount. DriveWise is an optional feature. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
If I'm not commuting anymore, where do I really want to live?
While you handle life's questions, Merrill Guided Investing helps you manage your portfolio and invest for your next move with the option to work with an advisor at a low cost and minimum. Merrill, a Bank of America company. Visit merrilledge.com/investing goals to get started today.
Investing involves risk. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith Incorporated, both a registered broker-dealer and investment advisor, member SIPC. Investment products are not FDIC insured or not bank guaranteed and may lose value.
Welcome back, Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago on this Hump Day edition. Man, listen, I want to get to this guy because, you know, we all know the Bears. This is a Bears town. Okay, this is a Bears town, and when they're doing good, this town, we're on top of the world. When they're in turmoil like they are now, they are the lead. And I got a lot of questions for this guy. He writes for NBC Sports Chicago. He covers the Bears. You can find him on Twitter at Kingsley Ellis. Guys, it's welcome back to Shawn and Maya. Cam Ellis. Cam, what's up, buddy? How are you?
I'm doing good, guys. How you doing?
Good, man. Good. A little nippy.
A little bit, yeah.
Where were you coming from before? Were you in Washington, right? D.C. or state?
Born and raised in D.C. So
okay, so it gets cold, but not Chicago cold.
Yeah, not Chicago cold. No, it was a whole new breed of winter when I first got here. So luckily, I heard that it takes 3 Chicago winters to get used to it, and this is my 3rd, and I'm already feeling a little better about it. But
okay,
famous last words. I feel like when it drops down to like 10, and I hate it again. So
it's needless to say, you've learned the art of layering.
I have. It's taken me a couple of years, but I think I finally figured it
out. Hey, great stuff, man. So let's get right to it, dude. So Matt Nagy has a press conference the other day, and he just goes off on the defense, and I was not happy with it. Okay, I thought it was forced. I want to get your thoughts on your feel for it, because it seemed like it was forced. It seemed like it was a show. What did you think? Because how could you get mad at this defense who's keeping your ass in the game every single freaking week?
Right.
And so, and then they got to do better. They have to, give me your thoughts, because this guy to me is a used car salesman, and I'm ready for him to go.
Yeah, it's an interesting. It's a layered conversation, I think, because they gave up 41 points. They did not play well on Sunday, and I would not have gone at my defense as hard as he did. I get that, he's the head coach, and he's the head coach of the defense too, even though he's not the one calling the plays. So he's within his rights to go after his team when they come out flat out of the bye. Optically, I agree it was not a great look for him. I don't think it does him any favors to go after the defense after the first bad game in 2 years or whatever it is. So I get what I think he was trying to do. I don't think he did it in a very intelligent way. I think it was poorly thought up, and I agree. I think it raised more questions and raised more flags than I think he probably intended it to. And I bet if he could do it again, he probably wouldn't have gone so hard at the defense. Because, I mean, you could even see he sort of tried to walk that back by the time, the press conference had ended. So it wasn't a great look, but I do understand, when you come out of the bye and you give up 41 points in Green Bay, you sort of get what you deserve the next day as far as criticism, at least I'm concerned.
Yeah, listen, I agree with him. One of the things that I think the defense, and it was sad when Tony Dungy said on the air, this team is the defense is giving up. I thought they were making business decisions as opposed to football decisions. We're like, I don't really want to tackle him. I don't want to get hurt. Do you think the defense kind of mailed it in? And do you think it was like a statement like, look, we're tired of having to do this because if we don't come to play, okay, people are going to get 40 or 50 points, and you're not helping us. So it's kind of it's a tough conundrum. But give me your thoughts on the defense, because Eddie Jackson was missing tackles. You had a whole bunch of guys just not playing, just not looking like they were in it the whole time.
Yeah, missed tackles has been a sort of a weird trend for this Bears defense. I agree that against Green Bay, I don't ever want to be the one who says someone's not trying, especially playing pro football, because we're just sitting here talking about it. They're the ones playing it. I wouldn't blame them if they just sort of snapped for a quarter or 2 quarters on Sunday night, because you're right. They have come to play every single game. And so many games they've talked about how, their goal is to not let anyone score, and they're disappointed because a team gave up 17 points or whatever. And it's sort of like, man, this the pressure they must be feeling to go, throw shutouts every single game of this season is ridiculous. And it would not surprise me if at a certain point things just got out of hand. Aaron Rodgers had a huge ass. He's Aaron Rodgers. If someone's going to pour it on, it's going to be him. So between all the different sort of factors of it all, I do see a world where they I don't want to say give up, but something sort of snapped and they went, look, every game we're not going to give up 17 points. Aaron Rodgers is going to put 3 or 4 scores on us, and the fact that the offense can barely score 25 in garbage time against the defense not particularly good is not a great look. And it sort of compounds with what Nagy said the next day, as to make this sort of crap storm, if you will. But I get it. The defense is you can't do this every single year, every single game. And they did one year, and it was 2018. And it's too much to expect this every single week.
Guys, we're joined by Cam Ellis from NBC Sports Chicago, talking Bears right here on Shawn and Maya on SportsZone Chicago.
So, Cam, I want to go back to a question that you gave Matt Nagy. I don't remember the question in particular, but all I remember is him pretty much, as I took it, dismissing it as negative. And that really irks me, because for a coach that back then dismissed your question as negative, a question like I said, I can't remember specifically. So if you do, please let us know. But I just remember it being a solid question, him, just dismissing it. And then we come to see this week, week 12, where you blow up on your defense that has been the only consistent in your team. And it just seems to me that it's like you have nothing else now. Yeah, like Shawn said, there was no need for it. Maybe you're upset because they did give up, but whose fault is that, coach? You know what I mean? Like, whose fault is that your offense can't muster up just 21 points? I was telling Shawn the other day, I was like, I think they just need 21 points, and this team would probably have 3 to 4 more wins. But you can't even do that. And the snap on the defense, I just felt like both moves were just a slap in the face. One to you for dismissing your question, and then to the defense for going ahead and blowing up because your job's on the line now. You know what I mean? And then not only that, you gave this BS excuse to the media afterwards that, I don't believe my job's in jeopardy. How could you not, coach?
Yeah, no, you're right. But I think he probably knows his job's in jeopardy. You know, we talk about how his answers seem like he is panicking, but if he came out and explicitly said, "I'm panicking about my job," you know, that's the
even worse. Yeah,
right, exactly. He's going to let us make those comments for him. Yeah, I think he's just. I think Matt Nagy is an eternal optimist, and I think in a lot of ways it's a very commendable trait. You know, people that are eternally optimistic, it's good. It's a good place to be. However, it's really hard to listen to when you've lost 5 games in a row, and it's really hard to listen to in the second year, where in the back-to-back years when mid-season losing streaks sink a year. So I think that. Being an eternal, I think he's just sort of losing the enthusiasm and of the city, of his team, of fans, of whatever you want to say. And I think that eternal optimistic message sort of now just comes across as, if not inauthentic, misguided, or not fully thought out, or however we want to phrase it. And it's just. I think he's just going to go down with the ship because, you know, Matt Nagy is BU. He got to being the head coach of the Chicago Bears in his early 40s by doing what he does. So there's reason. I get why he believes in his mantras and what he abides by. But at the same time, you know, you sort of live with the sword, you die with the sword. He's going to go down with the ship. He's going to be optimistic until the day he's not the head coach. And I think there's some credit to that, but at the same time, I get when Bears fans go, "Hey, we don't want to hear about how the message in the locker room was great after the 5th straight loss and got blown out."
Why haven't you found the whys, Coach? Like,
right.
why?
Right. And we don't care about how, you know, Mitch had the best practice in the history of the Chicago Bears on the day before he was terrible again against the Packers. Like, I get it, and. I think it goes back to Nagy being a little bit stubborn about adjustments, and that goes from whether that's lying scheme to running the ball to answers and press conferences. He's a stubborn guy, and he's going to do things the way he wants to do things. And it's not working on the football field, but it doesn't necessarily surprise me that we're still getting these responses in press conferences because, you know, we always have been. It's been sort of 3 years of this.
So, guys, we're joined by Cam Ellis from NBC Sports Chicago. Talking Bears right here on Shawn and Maya. So I know this has never been done, and that's having a Chicago Bears head coach fired in season. A rumor has it that George McCaskey was not very happy with the ass whooping they took on Sunday night. A 12 o'clock game. There's a slew of 12 o'clock games. You know, you get lost in the mix. It's a 3:30 game. Still, there's a few less, but you're still lost in the mix. Sunday night, 7:30, you're the only game on the docket. Mm-hmm. And everybody in the country sees it. They still have Minnesota. They have Detroit. They have their conference one more time through.
Right.
If they get blown out by the Lions, who don't even have a head coach, do you think it's possible that we can see for the first time in Bears history that a head coach is fired mid-season?
If they get blown out by the Lions, I think everything's on. What I will say is that I think there is less of a chance of them getting blown out by the Lions than there is them Matt Nagy getting fired if that were to happen, if that makes sense. So, yes, if they put up an egg, if it's 35-7 or whatever, and they lose, I could see that taking place. I think they're going to beat the Lions. I mean, one team is still high, right? The Lions aren't really good, and maybe there's some. We don't have to play for Matt Patricia anymore. Fire to them. That makes this a tricky game, but I don't know. The Lions are not very good, and the Bears have sort of had their number lately. But yeah, I think that if there are one or two more really, really bad embarrassing losses on this schedule, especially considering it's not very strong, I could see it. I don't think so. If my money says that the McCaskeys are going to wait until after the year, just because that's, they're the McCaskeys. That's the family way to do it. There's precedent. There's et cetera. You can go down the list of reasons why they won't. But I do think that there is some embarrassment at upper levels at Hallis Hall. I think people are realizing that, the next great offensive genius is not necessarily that. And I think that it's very likely that changes are made this offseason, but I think it's still a pretty low % chance that it happens in the middle of the season.
My guy I was asking a question, but he's muted.
I got it.
Oh, you got it?
Real quick, Kev. So, and I believe that I think there's one more ugly one coming, and possibly two, because I still think Green Bay at the end of the season is going to be an out. It could be either, in my opinion, it's going to be either Detroit or Jacksonville with the return of Mike Glennon potentially. Although with Detroit, I'm not too afraid because Mitch Trubisky seems to be the Lion Slayer. I mean, everybody seems to be a Lion Slayer, but I'm not too worried about that. I think the next embarrassing one might be against that Jacksonville team. I don't know. It has all the makings of being like the straw that breaks the camel's back. Like I just have a feeling about that game that's going to be ugly.
Yeah, I think what the game I look at is the Packers one. I think at Soldier at the end of the year is trouble, and I actually think that there's still a path to 9 wins which I think Bears fans almost don't want to hear anymore because that doesn't leave them anywhere particularly good. But I still think that they have a pretty winnable rest of the way. I mean, we all sort of looked at the beginning and the end of the season and went, oh, man, they're going to win their games up front and they're probably going to win their games at the back. It's this middle stretch against the good teams that they're going to have trouble with, and they did. So I think that if there's a straw that breaks the camel's back game, I am worried about Aaron Rodgers coming into Soldier Field, maybe with the Bears' playoff hopes on the line, and just stomping on their necks. I think that even with the Packers probably having won the division by then, there is a lot of insult narratives building up to that game. And if the Bears can't beat a Packers team at home with a playoff more or less on the line at that point, I think heads are going to roll, because that is, for as much talk about the Packers, forcing the destiny of Bears coaches, it's hard to get, crushed by the Packers twice, lose out on the playoffs because of that, et cetera. I mean, think about what happened in 2018 when the Packers came to Soldier and the Bears won, and that was how they won the division, and the elation of that year. And 2 years later, for that to be totally opposite, I think that the narrative and the optics of that would lead to some pretty swift changes probably the next day.
It's you talk about insult to injury, so hopefully we can beat the Lions, hopefully. But then you get the following week, you get a Texans team coming in here with the guy that I feel that the Bears should have drafted. And I really hope that he doesn't go off. I just hope he doesn't go off, 350 or 310 and 3 tutties, you know what I mean? And it just kind of rubbing our face into what we could have had. So with that being said, our guy, with Foles being healthy, do you think that Mitch Trubisky did enough this weekend to secure the starting job? As long as Nick is healthy, and we're not sure his status yet, but do you think he did enough to maintain that starting job?
I think he did.
Okay.
I think the Bears are just so far out on Mitch that they're going to give Nick Foles the starts when he's healthy. I think that it goes into two things here. I think that Mitch should, his bags have been packed at Hallis Hall for a year now, basically. I don't think they need to see any more from him. I think that story is just ending, and I think that Nick Foles is probably on the roster next year, and so they want to maybe give him reps this year. I think Mitch is going to play against the Lions this week. He's scheduled to talk today, which is typically a sign of who the starting quarterback is going to be. So I think, and Matt Nagy more or less said after the game on Sunday that it's going to be Mitch again. So I think he gets one more start, but I do think when Nick Foles is healthy that there's a chance that they go back to him because they want to get him more acclimated with the system that he apparently already knew. And they don't need to see anything more from Mitch. And so there's no point to really playing him. Now, I enjoy watching the Bears offense with Trubisky in it more than I do with Nick Foles in it, just because Trubisky allows them to do certain things that Foles obviously can't. And what people thought they were getting in Foles in a reliable just distributor and, play caller, play changer at the line didn't really happen. And you can blame that on the offensive line. You can blame that on the receivers. But at the end of the day, the quarterback gets the praise, the quarterback gets the blame. Nick Foles was not as good as people thought he was going to be, which wasn't even that high of a bar in the first place. So I would personally just like to see him go with Mitch, just because it adds a tiny layer of dynamism to the offense and his ability to run, his ability to scramble. But I think the Bears are going to try and see if they can figure out Nick Foles, because they're paying him $20 million and he's going to be on the roster next year.
Guys, we're with Cam Ellis from NBC Sports Chicago for another moment or so, talking Bears right here on Shawn and Maya on SportsZone Chicago. So the heat has got to be on Ryan Pace as well. It is squarely on him as well. Do you think he comes back? Because some people want to hide and say COVID and this, but I don't know if anyone else knows, but the whole league's dealing with COVID. Shh, don't tell anybody.
Right.
Do you see him coming back? And that's a two-part question. Do you see him coming back? And next, Cam Ellis is a new general manager for the Bears. Where do you go? Do you go quarterback? Because there could be a couple of good quarterbacks coming out, especially if you lose out and you get a little higher up. Or do you go offensive line? Because the highest offensive lineman we have, or I should say the highest drafted offensive lineman we have is second round that we drafted, and that's Whitehair and Daniels. Right. And, you need a one or two first-round studs on an offensive line in order for them to do well. Your thoughts?
Yeah. For Ryan Pace, I will say my gut says he's not going to be back next year, especially if they miss the playoffs. Now, with that being said, the McCaskies are notoriously patient. The McCaskies are notoriously loyal. All the evidence says that they have a good working relationship regardless of win-loss record. And there's reasons for that. He's involved with the charitable arm of the organization, which does a lot. He's involved with revamping Hallis Hall. It's a state-of-the-art technology. There are lots of good reasons to work for the Chicago Bears that have nothing to do with their win-loss record on the football field. And Ryan Pace had a significant hand in a lot of that. So, and as we know, the Bears, they're in the business to make money. So, and Ryan Pace has helped with a lot of that. So I think ultimately, though, you have to move on just because of his win-loss record and the unrest with fans and the understanding that this isn't getting better. To your second question, this year, I think you have to go offensive line. I think that's where it starts, because the Bears more than likely are not going to be in a position to get QB2, QB3 in this draft. It's going to be QB5, QB6, maybe QB4 if things go terribly. And I'm not sure that QB4 or QB5 in this draft really answers anything for you. I don't know how good – I don't know if Kyle Trask or Mac Jones or whoever it is a long – yeah, I don't know if there's long-term quarterback franchise guy in there. I think where the Bears are going to draft, you can get a day one starter on the offensive line. I think that things are going to get worse before they get better as far as wins are concerned next year. So I think that the Bears are going to have a chance in 2022 or 2023 to be in a top 5 where there is going to be a franchise quarterback more than likely. And then you plug him in and you have you have an offensive line that works. You have a revamped offense. It's going to get ugly. I just think there's no way around that fact. But for the vast majority of teams that don't employ Patrick Mahomes, the blueprint to sustain success is building from the offensive line outwards. And the Bears, that have just so many holes there that I think you address the offensive line and maybe it gets good and Nick Foles plays okay because he has a better than average offensive line and the defense is okay and maybe they win 8 or 9 games. But there's no path forward patchworking this offensive line. That needs to get overhauled first, and then you deal with the quarterback after that, because I don't think you want to waste first-round capital on a quarterback who is maybe a dice roll, and you would be probably considered a reach at where the Bears are picking.
So the defense is just going to go to hell. So the defense is going to hit their peak and then just fall off while you're still trying to figure out this offense.
Yeah, I mean, the unfortunate part about I was talking with on the Under Center podcast the other day was that championship caliber defenses give you a 1 Super Bowl window. They give you a 3-4 year Super Bowl window, but you get that one. And then the history of NFL defenses show that more often than not, these cycle out.
Yep.
Quarterbacks give you the ability to skip over these windows and to sustain ups and downs of these windows. But the Bears are going to have to move defensive players to open up cap space, to open up draft capital again. The Bears, I mean, they had a historically great defense, and look what it got them. So there's Kyle Fuller, Akeem Hicks, Khalil Mack, Eddie Jackson. I think you take calls on all of them. It doesn't necessarily mean you sell low, but if someone throws the book at you for Khalil Mack or Eddie Jackson, I think you have to take it at this point. And that sucks because they're great players, but they're not getting the system. The way the Chicago Bears are built right now is not getting it done. And it's not going to get it done. And I think if someone overwhelms you with first round, cap relief and first round picks for one of your defensive stars, you have to look at that and say, yeah, we have to do this because building an all-star, amazing caliber defense got us to a wild card game, and that's it.
That could be. I mean, Jimmy Johnson did it back in the 90s before. I mean, that was a trend. What's his name? Chucky just did it down in Vegas. Yeah. He shipped off Khalil Mack and Amari Cooper, and he got a boatload of draft picks. So that might be the way to go. I mean, so now we're gonna have another rebuild here in Chicago. The Cubs just went through one some years ago. The White Sox just went through one some years ago.
Yeah.
The Bulls went through one. Well, they went through like 7 with draft packs. That's
one, yeah.
and now we're gonna go with the Bears. Ay, Dios mío, dame fuerza.
Yeah.
Man, hey, Cam, great stuff as always, Papa. I appreciate it. But do me a big favor, though. Let everyone know where they can find you and your work online.
Yeah, I'm at NBC Sports Chicago, and I am one half of the Under Center podcast. You can find that at NBC Sports Chicago or wherever you get your podcasts. And I'm on Twitter at Kingsley Ellis.
Hey, great stuff, buddy. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Have a good one.
All righty. Guys, that was Cam Ellis from NBC Sports Chicago. And, man. No, it's doom and gloom on the lakefront, bro. It is doom and gloom.
I'm with. If this is what we're gonna do, make the decision now. At least be definitive in something. You know what I mean? Be 100%. Don't beat around the bush with this. Don't you smoke and mirror us. Just give it to the fans straight. We're gonna go ahead and blow this thing up in the offseason. You know what I mean? Like it just seems to me that it's really it's been black and white. You do this or you do that, and those are the only 2 options. For me, I want to see something fresh, so I'm all for blowing it up.
Man, that's all right. That defense that we had, unbelievable. Well, listen, we got to take a quick break. On the other side of the break, we have more Bears conversation. Ivan and I are going to go back and forth on some other topics that we couldn't ask Cam, so don't go anywhere, folks. Keep it locked right here. Shawn and Maya on SportsZone Chicago.
BoomerNaturals.com presents the Sports Flash on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone. White Sox manager Tony La Russa is changing his plea in a drunk driving case in Arizona. He had previously pleaded not guilty to a pair of drunk driving charges. It now appears he'll plead guilty to at least some charges at a hearing on December 21st. New Bulls coach Billy Donovan has only one losing season over his last 22 as a coach. He knows the task is tall as he takes over a Chicago franchise that's 87 games under 500 over the last 3 seasons. They haven't had a winning campaign since 2016. Training camp is underway, the team bringing back 13 of 15 from the main roster last season. Chris Dunn and Shaquille Harrison have departed. Newcomers include 4th overall pick Patrick Williams, undrafted free agent Devin Dotson, along with Garrett Temple, Noah Vonleh, and Zach Norville Jr. Boomer Naturals, your source for 3-layer protective face masks. Breathable protection for adults and kids. Save 20% with promo code SPORTS at BoomerNaturals.com. Doug Sanders, that's the Sports Flash, 1330 95.9 The Zone.
Listening to this Allstate commercial about savings might be the hardest thing about getting those savings. Save for simply becoming an Allstate customer. Save more for adding DriveWise. And save even more for driving safely. Visit Allstate.com or contact your local agent for a quote today. Allstate. Minimum effort, maximum reward.
Not available in every state. New customer savings based on early signing discount. DriveWise is an optional feature. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
If I'm not commuting anymore, where do I really want to live?
While you handle life's questions, Merrill Guided Investing helps you manage your portfolio and invest for your next move with the option to work with an advisor at a low cost and minimum. Merrill, a Bank of America company. Visit merrilledge.com/investing goals to get started today.
Investing involves risk. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith Incorporated, both a registered broker-dealer and investment advisor, member SIPC. Investment products are not FDIC insured or not bank guaranteed and may lose value.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya on SportsZone Chicago on this Hump Day edition. We just got off with Cam Ellis from NBC Sports Chicago, and man, we're talking Bears. Wow, it's doom and gloom on the lakefront. We don't see, he doesn't see, none of us see any good thing on the horizon when it comes to this Bears team. So Lord help us. And then one of our guys, Vernon Fairley. And yeah, this is one of the questions I didn't even get to ask him as well. That's because we had so many questions for him, or we had so many questions. Because there's so much to deal with. Allen Robinson, and we were talking about this the other day, and I said Allen Robinson is doing the freaking happy dance right now. Allen Robinson is doing the happy dance that they did not get a deal done with the Bears. And part of it was COVID because they didn't have the money. They weren't sure of revenues, what kind of revenue they were getting, so they're kind of holding off. And Allen Robinson just wanted to get paid. And let me tell you something. Him not getting paid by the Bears is probably the best thing that ever happened to that dude. It's the best thing that ever happened to him. And there are some receivers. So he's liking comments where people on Twitter are saying, go somewhere else, or just wishing him well. Or you have other people saying, hey, listen, come to our team. And he's liking those comments. So I think it's a pretty safe assumption to say that he's gone. I don't see any way, because if I were him, I wouldn't stay here. My ass ain't staying here. There's no. Why would I stay? Why would Allen Robinson stay here? You have a quarterback conundrum. You don't have an offensive line. You don't have a run game, because God forbid a run game help an offensive line. And a run game and an offensive line help the passing game. So you got a quarterback who's brought here to protect the ball and make quick decisions, quick throws, accurate reads, accurate throws, and he's been horrible. And Nick Foles, but they're paying him $20 million. So guess what? He's staying. We've seen how that works. It's the politics. It's the financial politics of the NFL. Charles Leno doesn't need to be starting in the NFL, but because of the fact that he got a contract extension, okay, he is the starting left tackle. Nick Foles is going to be here for another year or two until they can get their next franchise quarterback, and it's going to be not fun. Not fun. Because I'll tell you what, Allen Robinson. This is Chicago Bears luck. Ivan, jump in if you agree with me or not. This is Chicago Bears luck. Allen Robinson goes to the freaking Green Bay Packers and destroys us. He's going to destroy us wherever he goes. But he goes up north to Green Bay. So now you have Devontae Adams and Allen Robinson along with Jones, the running back for Aaron Rodgers. Come on, man.
This reminds me of Peppers. It reminds me of right before Julius Peppers was left, and he went up to Green Bay. I hope not, but damn if I can't see that. Damn if I can't see that. That sounds perfect. A number two, like he's not even he's our number one, but up there he'll be a perfect number two. Like you got your main man in Devontae, and then you got your safety blanket, your escape route, and Allen Robinson.
It'll be like
what more could you want for if you were Aaron Rodgers? Now and you have a running game? Come on, man. Like that's exactly the move that Allen Robinson would make. You know what I mean? I'm not saying he should, but if I'm thinking like Allen Robinson right now, yep.
Because it would be like Brandon Marshall and Alshon Jeffrey when they were here. That was an unbelievable duo for Cutler. Unbelievable duo. So yeah, I think and if I were him, I'd go. If I were him, I will go. I would go.
Mm-hmm.
I would go just to Green Bay, just to screw. You mean because he understands the rivalry, okay? And if he can get a great payday and play with Aaron Rodgers,
yep.
Come on, man. And it's not like the weather's going to be different, much different here than Chicago, so here or Green Bay. So the weather's not going to be an issue. This dude is a Nate. I agree with you. Robinson's about to get a major payday, about to hit the lotto. You're damn right. And I just think that if he does because he's going to be able to choose. There are going to be a lot of suitors coming after him, and he's like, okay, which good quarterback can I play for? And I truly hope he goes to the Packers. And I hate the Packers because I want them to continue to beat the hell out of us until we do something to stop it. I want the Green Bay Packers, and this is you. I never thought I'd say this. I want them to kick the hell out of us every single freaking time until we do something about it.
It's like it's hard for me. It's hard for me to go down that route. I more or less look for it as this, and I don't want to kick. Like it's hard for me to say I'm going to kick our ass. I just want to lose. I want a hard fought L. Like give me a hard fought L. At least show me that you're alive, and then we could talk about all right where we go from here. Because if you have no fight, then this is. I mean, look, if in these next few weeks you don't see a fight coming out of this team, regardless of who they are, if you don't see any type of fight, you know which guys need to get the hell off this football team. You'll know who needs to stay and who needs to go. So for me, is if they're going to go ahead and if they end up losing out or whatever what have you, show me some dog, show me some fight, because then I could build from there. I could build from somebody who really gives a damn and who wants to be here. I can't build off with guys that are just about a paycheck.
One of the things that I thought about was. We ran the ball pretty well. Okay. So my question is, why don't we run it more? Why didn't we run it more? Okay. That could help us out a lot. It was great to see we finally had a player with 100 yards on the ground. David Montgomery, 11 carries for 103 yards. And then granted, one of them was a 58-yard run. Okay, so that'd be 10 for 50.
If I didn't like jump for joy when I saw him break free, if I didn't think for a second and like shame on me that something was going to be different. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel bad for David Montgomery. Good for him, but I feel sorry.
Yeah, you know what? And even you take that 58-yard run away, it's still 10 carries for like 95 yards. That's not a bad average. 10 carries, 90 yards. Let's see. Let me do the math. I'm not a math wizard, but carry the 1, drop the 2. That's 9 yards to carry, dude. That's 9 yards to carry. But no, let's not run the ball. Let's not run the ball because we have to do some other stuff, and that's part of the issue that I have. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And the Bears are like, oh, we're running the ball well. Let's pass. That had a feel. And I was wondering throughout the game, that has a feel of Matt Nagy all over it. Because Bill Lazor or anyone else, in my opinion, if you're calling the game and you're running the ball, okay, and granted, you get down quick, and so that played a factor. Remember, it was 27-3 at half.
Mm-hmm.
So you're down there. He's not going to get very many runs. But before then, continue to feed him. But yeah, no. Now that I'm talking myself through it, it had a feel of Matt Nagy. But then again, as I said, when you get down so fast, so big, so fast, that just eliminates one aspect of your offense because you have to come back and try and get in the game. So hopefully the defense comes up to play. and we can get the same performance, same type of effort we got from that offensive line, that patchwork offensive line. Because if we can and we can run the ball, then I'm liking this. I'm liking it. We got two crappy teams playing, and if the Bears can control the time of possession and wear down this not very good Detroit defense, we got a shot.
I thought the effort was there for the offensive line. You saw later in the game how long the plays took to progress. You see why they're not successful. And it's because right now you got a makeshift line, and any play really that you've been calling is either dive, right? It's either been a dive or it's been a play action that takes forever to build. You have no offensive line for that. So for me, it's like I saw effort when it came down to running, and I saw, you saw some false steps with Mitch because Mitch is a threat to run, but at the same time, it was like, where was some of the passes? Some of the play calls weren't enough. Why weren't you attacking with slants? Where was that first quarter? Like, because it just seemed to me like even when that interception Mitch threw, the first one, why there? It felt like that play was meant to go there no matter what. It didn't seem like there was a progression. It just seemed like, and I don't know whether it's Mitch or whether it's telling them to look for the deep guy in Mooney, because Mooney typically is open, but this time he had a safety that stood with him over the top. Like, part of me doesn't know whether it's the coach is telling him to look deep or it's Mitch. Why not keep attacking the way you were? Short, quick, and then run. That was finding you were finding success. All of a sudden, you went to this shotgun. Everything's taking forever to progress. You're trying to go deep, trying to force it with a guy that can't read defenses. It just didn't make sense to me.
You're going to take your shots. Like, I'm okay with going down. I'm not okay with him still not being able to read a God-blessed defense. Okay? Look at this. If you have people talk about his first year with John Fox and whatever, he just gained experience. Okay, fine. Then second year with Matt Nagy, he come out. He has a great year, 12-4, Pro Bowl alternate, that whole nine. This year, last year, he comes out, just stunk up the joint, 8-8. Why do we keep talking about him not being able to read defenses? Like, for me, this is something that, again, this falls squarely on the lap of Ryan Pace. Squarely. Because you got a guy coming in here next week, not this week, not the Lions, but the following week, Deshaun Watson is a guy you should have had. It's a guy you should have taken. A guy who came out of 2 consecutive national championship games against Alabama, lost the first one, won the second one, and who threw for 400 yards in each game. There's no bigger stage for a college athlete, a college football player, than the national championship game. And he excelled in both of them that he was in. So this falls squarely on his lap. He's actually got to go. They're not talking about him as much as I would like. They're not talking about the heat on him as much as I would like. I'm just fed up with this guy. I'm fed up with him from his horrible draft picks, his inability to see big picture, his necessity to be the smartest guy in the room. Him and Nagy are there's 2 peas in a pod. You got to be the smartest guy in the room. And let me get this 5th rounder, 6th rounder, 7th rounder, 12th rounder, 50th rounder, and get him in there and plug him in and play. That's what you get with Charles Leno Jr. 7th round pick, who you ended up giving a contract to because he had 1 decent year. Okay? 1 decent year. And for me, I need more. I need to tell a player, if I'm a GM, like, look, you had a good year. You continue to play that this year, middle of the season, we start extension talks. But no, they have 1 good year. He's like, okay, we got this guy. We could pay him on the cheap because he's a 7th round pick. We don't have to give him that much. And that's it. This is so frustrating as Bear fans to have the ineptitude in that management position.
You know, the one team that I could say in recent memory that just lit it up in the draft was that Seahawks team when right before they won their Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Their drafts for like that the 3 previous years just on the money, top to bottom. I mean, they hit in damn near every round. Or the players that they drafted contributed to that Super Bowl team. Imagine that. Now, for me, if Ryan Pace could only have found success in the first rounds of each of his drafts, I think we're talking about a different team. I think we're talking about a team that is maybe an offensive lineman away or maybe different. If he drafted a little bit differently, if he went and hit on those first rounders, he wouldn't have to go ahead and make up later on with future draft picks. You know what I'm saying? I feel like a lot of his draft picks recently have been just makeups. And you know what I'm saying? And for me, like you can't try to make up mistakes in the first round by trying to cover them up with guys in the 5th, 6th round. You know what I'm saying? Like you live and die with those mistakes. And the one that's obviously the biggest one, Mitch Trubisky. You're gonna be fired because of that choice and that choice only. Because, like we said, a quarterback changes all. A good quarterback can change all. It'll open windows that are deemed closed. You don't have that, and that's why this championship defense is going down the drain.
Yeah, it is. But that's what you have in Seattle. You have a guy who can identify talent and Pete Carroll. So you get guys, you get good talent evaluators. Then you're able to see, okay, let me get him here. Let me get him here. He'll still be there, and I think, and that's a huge thing for anyone is the ability to identify talent. He hasn't done that, and there you go. He hasn't done that yet, but here's the thing: he's gotten some steals in round 3 and on, and that's the thing that annoys me. This is the part where I say he's got to be the smartest guy in the room because he took Kevin White, okay, a guy who was raw, because he figured he could turn him into a stud player. You know why? Because that was like Tyreek Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Tyreek Hill was very raw coming out of Oklahoma State. He was very raw, but he worked on him. So then he goes and drafts Leonard Floyd. And you're like, dude, there's other guys. If you want pass rushers, if you want, someone, don't get a guy in the first round who's a God-blessed project. Then it's the second person. Then he goes and gets Mitch the next year. It's his third person who's a project who had no business being taken at that particular point. With him, and then he doesn't take any offensive lineman. I take that back. James Daniels and Cody Whitehair, but those are second rounders. But he doesn't invest in that thing. So for me, he's got to go. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about this. He's got to go. We talked about it on Monday. Him not even bringing Deshaun Watson in for an interview is a dereliction of duties.
That one is it's the unforgivable one. That's the unforgivable. Like you made a mistake. Like I said, you were gonna live and die with Mitch anyway. But the unforgivable thing is you didn't even bring Deshaun in. Like what kind of a I'm not gonna call him a scumbag. What kind of a bonehead move is that? What kind of a BS move is that? You really had that much conviction on Mitch Trubisky that you wouldn't look at a national champion? I don't understand that. In my mind, that's ignorance.
It's dereliction of duty, and that should be fired immediately. You just said a national championship quarterback who just threw for 400 yards for the second straight year against Alabama in the national championship game, and you don't bring him in for an interview. But then how high does it go up? Does Ted Phillips get fired? Because what does he do? He's not. Again, we need football people making football decisions, and we don't have that. We need football people making football decisions.
You need a big splash. You need a Peyton Manning. I know they mentioned Peyton in the. You need that. so a Peyton Manning or somebody of that stature to be your president of football operations, because first it shows that you hey, this is all business now. You know what I mean? It shows the fans that you actually give a shit. Second, now you have the mind in there that can go ahead and figure out what the hell is broken within this Bears system. And I'm sure once you do that, I'm sure that we're going to see a lot of football changes for the better for the Chicago Bears. But until then, you're just going to get this same run-of-the-mill BS. You're just going to continue to get yes men, people that don't want to speak up, for themselves when it comes to the front office. You just don't want to speak up, in front of camera. Don't want to call guys out. When was the last time somebody called somebody out? Vic Fangio. And what happened to Kyle Fuller? Oh, he just went on to have the best career, year of his life and get signed to a big time contract. You need that shit. You don't need this yes man bullshit anymore.
The one thing he says, I would never accuse my players of not trying. Why not? You watch the same game as we do. You watch the same game as we do. Okay, you watch it more than us because you got to break it down. How can you not? And maybe he doesn't want to throw his players under the bus, but maybe they need to be thrown under the bus.
Well, then why jump down their throat after the game? Why jump down their throat after the game if you don't think you should call guys out for not trying? Why get in their face after the game and waste all this time and energy? If you don't want to go ahead and call guys out, that's BS. That's some soft shit.
He's not a leader. That's the problem, and he doesn't know how to lead. He doesn't know how to navigate. And you have to remember, this is his first head coaching gig. It's not easy to finesse and how to do certain things. He's never been a head coach at this level. He's never been a head coach, period. So, I was just a defensive coordinator when I was at Curie and Bogan. Head coach has to do so much, man. Head coach has to do so much. And for him to add play calling on top of that, where now he's strictly responsible for the offense, in addition to the defense, even though he has a guy over there, in addition to the special teams, even though he's got a guy over there, in addition to in-game decisions, that's a lot, man. That's a lot to ask for a guy who's never been a head coach at any position, at any level. So why Shawn, you got to look at these things, dude. And this is part of the problem. And yeah, he could be the next such and such because they're looking for the next Sean McVay at the time. But even Sean McVay, where have they gone? The playoffs? Okay, great. Have they gotten close? Have they threatened?
The difference though is Sean. Look at Sean McVay. Look at when after that Super Bowl run, after the Rams struggled. Now look at him. He's gotten that team they're contending in that West. They're contending in that West. He adjusted. Matt Nagy, we have yet to see a full-on adjustment to his philosophy because the philosophy he has right now is not working. We've seen McVay adjust. Good coaches adjust. They make the right adjustments, or they look within themselves and make the adjustments in order for the team to succeed. Matt Nagy has done everything in order to be himself, be you. He refuses. Cam said it. He's stubborn in that nature. Is that he'll die with the ship. That is not what I want, especially if your team's struggling. If your philosophy isn't working, you're gonna die with it. You have a die with the ship philosophy when you're gonna just drag all these players down with you. You're gonna drag careers down with you when your shit's not working. That's selfish to me.
See, Sean McVay, if you watch him now, he runs the ball.
Yep.
He runs the ball. If you saw what they did to us, they just ran it right down our God blessed throat.
Right down the throat.
So Sean McVay goes from telling Jared Goff the coverages, where to throw it while he has time in the helmet, to because NFL teams figured that out. Mm-hmm. So they would switch coverages and fronts, after the 15 seconds, or with less than 15 seconds, so there's no communication. And so he went from trusting Jared Goff to trusting his offensive line and his running backs. And now they're contending in the West. So here's a crazy idea. Let's get back to a game where we take pressure off the quarterback and run the ball. I don't know if anyone's ever has mentioned that in the last 3 years, but make a concerted effort for this offensive line to get good, which means you have to invest in it. Give me a left tackle. That should be the starter. We need a center and a right tackle because with the guards, I'm more than happy with Whitehair and James Daniels at the guards.
Yeah.
More than happy.
Yeah.
So now we need a center. And, I'll tell you what, truth be told, Mustafa is not. I haven't heard his name called very often at all.
I think the kid needs some seasoning, but I think you might have found yourself another steal.
You could have.
You might have found yourself another steal with Mustafa if you could see progression in this next year. Because if you don't see progression within training camp within this next year, I think that I would look to draft the center late anyway. But and I mean maybe like 5th, 6th, and 7th, or maybe even signing an undrafted free agent. But if Mustafa can work out, man, you sewed up that middle. Now you just need them to find some of that cohesiveness, play together for a few games, and then find the tackles. Because to be honest, it's all based on these tackles. These tackles. If we had decent tackles, I think that makes a little bit of a difference in how this offense performs. Just because you have a little bit more time, things could progress. Because like I said, Matt Nagy's plays, it takes so long to progress. And if you have no time, if you're getting instant rushes in your face, you can't make a decision that with that amount of time. So for me, go ahead and try to see what you got with Mustafa for the rest of this season. And if it looks good, man, I think I think you're absolutely right. You're good with Daniels, you're good with Whitehair, and you're solid with Mustafa. Now fix those spindles at the edges. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm torn. So in dealing with that, so do you go draft a center? Do you draft a tackle? Because if you don't draft a center, and maybe you draft one in the 2nd or 3rd round, okay, and that's cool. But I'm really comfortable with those two guys at guards, the 2 second-round picks. Okay. Because if you keep Whitehair at center, well, then we have an issue at guard.
Right.
Then we have an issue at guard. So it all depends on what you're trying to do with Charles Leno Jr. If you're trying to let him go, okay, then get a left tackle, and you can play that game again you can play the game where Whitehair's the center and Ifedi's a guard, even though he needs work too. James Daniels should be back good to go next year. Mm-hmm. Or maybe that's the way to go. I think that might be the way to go for me, because if Mustafa keeps doing what he's doing, he's got 5 games left. If Mustafa can keep doing what he's doing, we're not hearing his name called. Mm-hmm. Then I got to watch the tape. I have to literally watch him, and he could be a stopgap for a couple of years until you can find a better center. But if he's solid, now you have Whitehair and Daniels at guard, and now you can go get that left tackle, the insurance. Mm-hmm. I think we're sitting pretty. Because I'll tell you what, run the ball. Here's in closing, run the ball. Okay. We're going to have to do that. We just don't have the passing attack. We have, what did Mooston say? Chicago's where receivers go to die. And he was right. And it's showing it's rearing its ugly head again. So I don't know. I don't know how this let's see. No, yeah. So Nate talks about trying to build a contender. And what we talked about, and I don't know if you're still listening. So you start dealing those big pieces, the Khalil Mack, the Eddie Jacksons, the Akeem Hicks, the people would value, just like Oakland did. Remember, they dealt Khalil Mack and Amari Cooper and got a slew of draft picks. Nate, obviously you remember in the 90s when Jimmy Johnson took over and made that trade, the Herschel Walker trade. Okay, you remember that. So if we do this, then we're gonna have to sell our pieces and get a slew of draft picks.
I'm with it. Like I said, I'm with that.
Because you got the Leno money coming off soon. I think next year is his final year of the contract. You can cut him this year if you want. You just got dead cap money that you got to deal with that eats up your cap. But yeah, I'm with it too. The hell with it. Every other team in Chicago has gone through a rebuild.
Look, I mean,
why not the Bears?
He's absolutely right about building a contender, man. And I'm talking about long term. Like I'm, and I mentioned it like last week, Shawn. We've seen this too many times with the Bears, where it's like, oh yeah, they have a blip of a good, maybe a good couple years, and then there they go, they're gone again. It's like, man, it's dust in the wind. Sometimes they just roll around, they blow in whenever they want, they're good, and then all of a sudden they're gone. There's nothing sustained with this team. They can't find any consistency when it comes to offense, defense, or the front office. The defense has been most consistent, but I need you to go ahead and fix things up top.
Well, listen, we got to take a quick break because I'm tired of talking about my Bears because they suck, and their management, their coach sucks, the general manager sucks, and it sucks being a Bear fan right now. It really, really does. But what it doesn't suck is being a Bulls fan. And as you see, guys, I'm decked out in my Bulls regalia, and I'm fired up. So our guy Darnell Mayberry on the other side of the break is going to come back. He's going to talk to us about the different energy, as Zach Levine said, that's going on over there on the west side. So keep it locked right here, folks. Darnell Mayberry from The Athletic with Bulls Talk coming up next right here on Shawn and Maya on SportsZone Chicago.
BoomerNaturals.com presents the Sports Flash on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone. White Sox manager Tony La Russa is changing his plea in a drunk driving case in Arizona. He had previously pleaded not guilty to a pair of drunk driving charges. It now appears he'll plead guilty to at least some charges at a hearing on December 21st. New Bulls coach Billy Donovan has only one losing season over his last 22 as a coach. He knows the task is tall as he takes over a Chicago franchise that's 87 games under 500 over the last 3 seasons. They haven't had a winning campaign since 2016. Training camp is underway, the team bringing back 13 of 15 from the main roster last season. Chris Dunn and Shaquille Harrison have departed. Newcomers include 4th overall pick Patrick Williams, undrafted free agent Devin Dotson, along with Garrett Temple, Noah Vonleh, and Zach Norville Jr. Boomer Naturals, your source for 3-layer protective face masks. Breathable protection for adults and kids. Save 20% with promo code SPORTS at BoomerNaturals.com. Doug Sanders, that's the Sports Flash, 1330 95.9 The Zone.
Listening to this Allstate commercial about savings might be the hardest thing about getting those savings. Save for simply becoming an Allstate customer. Save more for adding DriveWise. And save even more for driving safely. Visit Allstate.com or contact your local agent for a quote today. Allstate. Minimum effort, maximum reward.
Not available in every state. New customer savings based on early signing discount. DriveWise is an optional feature. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
If I'm not commuting anymore, where do I really want to live?
While you handle life's questions, Merrill Guided Investing helps you manage your portfolio and invest for your next move with the option to work with an advisor at a low cost and minimum. Merrill, a Bank of America company. Visit merrilledge.com/investing goals to get started today.
Investing involves risk. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith Incorporated, both a registered broker-dealer and investment advisor, member SIPC. Investment products are not FDIC insured or not bank guaranteed and may lose value.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago on this Hump Day edition. Well, yesterday was the beginning of training camp for the Bulls, and let me tell you, if you can't tell, I'm a little fired up about it. See my Bulls hat, my Bulls. We're going back to before Nike was. This is how old this junk is. This might be before the turn of this. Not might. This is from before the turn of the century. All right, before Nike was the official sponsor of the Bulls. I got this like 97, 98, and I'm fired up. I'm fired up like I haven't been fired up for the Bulls team in a long time. So I want to bring up the next guest. He's all up and down on the West Side, man, and following him, and he's got the scoop, man. He works for The Athletic. You can find him on Twitter at Darnell Mayberry. Guys, let's bring in our guy. Good to see him. Long absence. Darnell Mayberry. Darnell, what's up, Papa? How are you? Good to see you.
I'm good. How are you today?
Man, I am good. I am good with this. What is it? Different energy that we're getting from the West Side.
Are you feeling it? Are you feeling the different energy?
Dude, I'm telling you, I am really feeling. I was telling Ivan earlier in our top of the morning segment that I felt it listening to Arturas Karnisovas. He seems more businesslike. He seems like I'm about to get this ish done.
Mm-hmm.
And, we're going to get this, and you just look at what he did in Denver, and you don't have very far to look. And that was just last year where his guys, made the playoffs. And that's something I hope we can do. How did you feel about the energy? Because the players look good. Larry Marketing looked happy. Okay. Zach LaVine seemed a little fired up. He was in his, in his real smooth, calm, laid back, kind of way. But he even just the aura of the players. How different was that energy that he was talking about?
Zach LaVine said a couple things that really raised my eyebrows. He said, we want to play for Billy Donovan. He said, we want to go out there and compete for him. We didn't hear that the last 2 years under Jim Boylan, or even before that under Fred Hoiberg. So those are the things that, when you ask about whether players are buying in or whether coaches still have a locker room, those are the things that the little nuggets that you look for and listen for. And Zach LaVine came out with some strong comments yesterday. Larry Marketing already talked about how the Billy Donovan and the new coaching staff are trying to put in a new offensive system to where guys are moving more, and he's not just being stationed in the corner as a catch and shoot, floor spacer. So
7-footer.
Things like that are just noticeably different on day one.
You mentioned the Larry Marketing. He to me, he's a key of this whole thing, because you got Zach LaVine, we know what he's going to do, and the confidence of Larry Marketing was shot. It was just shot. They had it like you said. He's standing out in the corner, at the top of the key, just waiting. Dude, the dudes hit the weight room every year. Okay, he doesn't just want to shoot threes, if at all. He wants to be down low. He wants to be banging with the big boys, because why? There aren't a lot of tough or big boys down in the NBA. There's a couple, but there aren't as many. And he wants to get some points down there and ones. I think he wants to have a little more physical style play with the ability to pull people out, hit it, pop it in your face from 15, put it on the floor and go by you, because his skill set it dictates that he can do that. What was your impression of him? Just watching his body language, the way he spoke, his aura yesterday, because I got one. Mine was of a guy who was really happy about these guys, and his skill set is actually going to be used and maximized to its fullest potential.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head when he talked about being able to move, cut, get to his spots a little bit better. And then even Billy Donovan talked about how he didn't want him to be a catch and shoot player, just a limited one-dimensional kind of guy. Those are things that I think Markkanen has tried to tell us the last 2 seasons, that, he's trying to get to his spots. He's trying to find his rhythm, things like that. And he might not feel like he was being put in those positions. But I'll go the other way too and say, we've talked about in the past how Larry Marketing has to step up and carry the load and do what he can to be able to take advantage of some mismatches, whether in the post or, if he's got opportunities to put it on the floor, he's got to be able to tighten up some of the things in his game to be able to do that. So as much as we're looking at this new coaching staff coming in and helping not just Larry, but all these guys, are the same group for the most part that won 22 games last year. So they got some improvement that they've got to do.
You know what? I agree with you guys. We're joined by Darnell Mayberry from The Athletic, talking a little Bulls basketball right here on Shawn and Maya on SportsZone Chicago. I agree with you. Although I do like the talent, I just thought it wasn't being coached very well, and I think we all can agree that was probably the biggest issue. But there comes a point in time when, as a player, the coaching gets put on the back burner and you have to play. And, for me, moving forward, okay, talk to me. Let me ask you this. Give me your thoughts on how this guard group is going to be when you're coached by Billy the Kid, okay, Providence back in the 80s under Rick Pitino, and Mo Cheeks, Hall of Famer, legend, NBA champion. You got 2 point guards, okay, 2 smart point guards coaching this team. How much better is the guard position going to be, and the team in general, especially late in games?
The late in games part is the big question mark, because that's what Billy Donovan specifically stressed, and Arturas Karnisovas specifically stressed yesterday, was that particularly Zach LaVine has some improvement, some room to grow, and close clutch time situations. So the entire team did not do well in those situations last year. But having Mo Cheeks, Hall of Fame guard, champion with the 76ers, who's got experience head coaching experience, coaching in Portland, Philadelphia, and Detroit, and has been a long-time assistant now. So he can only help Kobe White and Zach LaVine and Thomas Satoransky and those guys with all the knowledge and experience that he brings to the table. And then obviously from Billy's playing days at Providence and his cup of coffee in the NBA, these guys know what it takes to be a point guard. So I expect between that and Kobe White's second season, just the natural improvement that we'll see out of him, we should see some stability that we haven't in the past at the point guard position.
And that's what I was getting at, and that's what I was hoping for, because that's so huge. Guard play is so important. I mean, you look even in the NCAA tournament, you get guards from small mid majors, and they're taking with guards who are juniors and seniors against guys with 3 or 4 or 5 blue chippers, and they're beating them. And like, why? Because of guard play, because they know how to run the game, they know how to speed it up, they know how to slow it down, they know how to get and so that's what I'm hoping for this team. I want their basketball IQ to go up in the end of games. One of the guys that I really want to see in the end of games is Wendell Carter Jr. I haven't heard a lot from him. I've heard a couple of trade rumors about him. Did you get a chance to interview him? Did you talk to him? Anything going on with him? Because I think he's a huge part, especially on a defensive end, and a guy who can run the floor. And with he's a lot more mature than most. Was he 20 now? Maybe 21? Who knows? He's a lot more than kids his age, and I think he can be a huge piece, especially on a defensive end, because I stress defense now with the Bulls.
Yeah, so the Bulls are doing this. Well, not just the Bulls, but the NBA is doing this media week where they're rolling out these interviews all week. They started yesterday and they're going through Saturday. So we have not heard from Wendell yet. But I'm with you, Shawn. I'm really curious to hear from Wendell and hear, how he plans to improve and grow his game now in his third season. He's only played 87 games in his first 2 seasons. So, the injuries have been a major factor for him. Foul trouble, especially his first year, was a major factor for him. So we got to see him on the court. But when he is, I think he's a major piece to this puzzle defensively. And then even Billy Donovan talked yesterday about how he's such a good passer. He can use him, incorporate his passing skills into the offense as a secondary facilitator. And then even spacing out the floor a little bit as he continues on in his career with his shot. So I've got high hopes for Wendell Carter Jr. I think he's going to be a solid player for this team, but he's got to be able to stay healthy.
Yeah, I agree. Health is a big issue with me for him. It was his shoulder, if I'm not mistaken, was the issue for him. And we just haven't seen him play for long stretches. And I'd love to see him get lathered up and being an athlete, you understand, like, you're now you're in the middle of the season, you played all season. Now you're rolling, everything's going and you're running smoothly. So we haven't seen him get to that point, and that's one area that I'm really interested in getting. There was a big faux pas by Otto Porter Jr. The other day, where he's him partying and with a whole bunch of people, things like that. Rumor has it that have you heard any of these rumors that he's on a trading block because of his not just immaturity, but it's still COVID's going on, and when you're still partying with a whole bunch of different people, and then you're coming back to the facility, that can mess with business. Have you heard of those trade rumors? And if you have, is that a sign of the new regime? Like, you screw up like this, we're making changes, and we're making changes quickly.
Yeah, I'm gonna be real frank with you. I'm not familiar with it. I saw like one tweet a day or two ago about it, but I haven't seen the video. So, but I will say this. I mean, Otto, this team is different with him than without him. We've seen that, because he hadn't been able to stay healthy, unfortunately, since he's been here. So if they can get him healthy and he can stay in the lineup, he's going to be a big factor. And there's also this, Shawn. I can promise you, Otto Porter ain't the only one out there partying.
Oh, yeah, definitely not.
I mean, the NBA's got a big issue on their hands trying to complete a 72-game season this year with players flying all across the country. They're not in a bubble anymore. I mean, these are grown men with a lot of disposable income for the most part, a lot of them. So, Otto Porter, it doesn't shock me to hear that, some guys are going to be out there getting it in. Like, he's not going to be the only one.
Yeah. It's just his was on social media, and that was the issue. Like, and I think that was part of the big thing about it. One guy that I'm super, super excited to see this year is, and you mentioned him earlier, and he going into his second year, is Kobe White. This kid is like, was he 17 years old now? 19, 20. So, but he's so full of energy. Like he just seems like such a great kid. He seems like he's just such a great person. Not to mention being a really, really good basketball player. But I'm looking at him because I want to see a huge improvement from last year to this year. What do you expect from Kobe White this year, especially since we talked about he's got two phenomenal point guards that are going to be coaching him, and Billy the Kid and Mo Cheeks?
Right. Well, Kobe has talked about, a couple of things that he wants to improve on. He wants to improve his efficiency. He can score, but, he's got to be able to know when to dial it back or when to try to, take a smarter shot, not just the first shot. So he's got to do that. He's got to work on finishing at the rim, and he's got to work on his decision-making. If he does those three things, then he's going to be a really solid point guard for a long time, because we see his speed, we see his scoring ability, and we see his confidence. He didn't back down from anyone last year, whether it was Chris Paul, John Morant, Russell Westbrook, whoever he went at. Like he went out and held his own. He lit up the Knicks. He had a couple good halves against the Bucks. Eastern Conference, not the Eastern Conference champions, but the best regular season team in the East, and the Bucks. And so, Kobe has showed us a lot so far, very early. He did a lot of that coming off the bench. I'm curious to see if they're going to hand him the starting point guard role.
Guys, we're joined by Darnell Mayberry from The Athletic for another few moments, talking Little Bulls basketball right here on Shawn and Maya on SportsZone Chicago. What are you expecting from Zach LaVine? And we've already seen, so we've heard from Zach LaVine. We've seen how much he's buying in. He likes the new energy, the different energy that's coming in. What do you expect from him? Because I think Zach LaVine, when he's comfortable and when he's relaxed, I think he can be a borderline superstar. I don't know if he can be a full-fledged superstar. I think he might be like just a cut below, which is not, and that's no insult by any stretch. There's very few superstars in the NBA, but I think with him leading the way, and then Lowry hopefully stepping up, this can be a phenomenal team. But where do you see Zach LaVine this year? Because he looks like and it sounds kind of weird, like we're in therapy, but he looks happy in a good place.
Yeah, I'm curious. I don't know, because Zach is a guy who has established himself as an elite scorer the last two seasons. He averaged about 23.5 2 years ago and 25.5 last year. So he doesn't have to check that off his bucket list anymore. He knows that he can score with the best of them. And the league knows that. He knows that that's his reputation around the league. So I think what's next for Zach is trying to do it in ways that are more conducive to team success. And that's what it seems like everyone with the Bulls are talking about coming out of yesterday with Zach is how can they do it where it benefits the entire group, and he's not just getting his numbers or taking the last shot because he's the best and most talented guy on the team. If they can figure out how to incorporate that to where it leads to winning, that's when Zach's going to take that next step and have that perception like he's a true star in this league.
Well, I hope so, man, because I like Zach LaVine, and we talked about if he gets help, like once Lowry gets his confidence back, man, I think we have a phenomenal 1-2 punch. And then as Kobe White gets older, I think that'll be a phenomenal 1-2-3. I think that's our big three right there, and then all those other little pieces sprinkled in. One last question for you, and this is a guy that I like. He reminds me of the newly retired Joakim Noah, who I hope find his way on the staff somehow, some way, seeing that he played for Billy the Kid in Florida. But Daniel Gafford, this guy was a guy that he reminded me a lot of. He was just on a team, like just a guy with energy, a guy who I can see his face, but I can't see the former player that he reminds me of. But this guy is full of energy. This guy's a defensive guy, runs up and down the floor. What's your thoughts on him and moving into this season as he's got hopefully a little stronger?
I like him. He's a guy who kind of gets lost in the mix But what he does really well. You know, like you said, he rebounds, runs the floor, blocks shots, catches lob passes for dunks. You know, that's very valuable when you have a big man who can do those things. Thaddeus Young told me last year that when he first saw him in Summer League, he said, you can get paid $100 million just for doing what you do. And he's right. I mean, look at guys like DeAndre Jordan. That's who Thaddeus Young compared him to. He can be that type of player. He's got to be able to be a little bit better in terms of team defensive concepts and understanding coverages and guarding the pick and roll, things like that. He's got to get stronger because he's still kind of light, and you can see him get pushed around on the block easily. So he's got to be able to hold his spot. But you know, I like his potential. I like the energy that he plays with that you mentioned. He just goes out there and gives it his all, man. He kind of reminds you of Bobby Portis.
That's Bobby what it was. That's him. And I was about to say Crazy Eyes, and it slipped my mind, but that's exactly what I was talking about. That energy, that hustle, that emotion that we don't really see from a lot of players. Like, players play hard, but there's like emotion, like a Joakim Noah type of guys where you see it. They put it's on their sleeve, you know, when they go out there and you know it. And that's what I love about that dude.
Yeah, both Arkansas guys too, man. So they got a little bit of a relationship. But, you know, I'm curious to see what they do with Gafford too, because they're talking about two-way players here with the Bulls now, and Gafford being more of a defensive guy. How are they going to be able to incorporate him? Like I said, I think he's got some skills that they can really use, but Gafford's going to have to really go out there and show that he can improve offensively so that he's not a liability on that end of the floor.
Last question for you before we let you go. And again, I always appreciate when you got time for us. The bench mob, the second unit. Your thoughts on that? Because they re-signed Denzel. I'm a big Denzel fan. I mean, you come out of a Michigan State program for 4 years. You got a pretty good basketball IQ under Tom Izzo. He doesn't recruit a lot of dumb basketball players. How effective could this bench mob be with all the talent that they have, especially with Denzel Valentine again? Dealing with, or I shouldn't say dealing with, being coached by phenomenal, point guards in their own right.
You know, quietly, Shawn, it's interesting. You know, this team is the same. They got, I think, 14 players returning from last year. But if you look at what they are able to do potentially with this bench, if Kobe White starts, you got some veterans coming off, and Thomas Satoransky, Garrett Temple, Denzel Valentine, even Thaddeus Young. So these guys are experienced guys who know how to play, and that means that there's not going to be a lot of a drop-off in terms of execution. There's going to be a talent drop-off from the first string to the second, but in terms of execution, you might see the second string come out and potentially play better than the first string sometimes because they've got experience. They know how to play. So Billy Donovan's going to have some options on his hands, and it's going to be interesting to see how he plays it out.
Man, it damn sure is. And you see, I'm a little excited.
You got 3 weeks.
Just a little bit. Hey, Darnell, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate your time, buddy. Do me a favor, though. Let everyone know where they can find you and your work online.
We're at theathletic.com, and I'm on Twitter at Darnell Mayberry.
Hey, great stuff, Papa. We'll talk soon.
Take care.
Now. Hey guys, that was Darnell Mayberry from The Athletic, and dude, I'm happy. And I know. Relax, people. Everyone's like, oh, it's just media day, and everyone's excited about it. But there's the energy. Like I could feel it when Arturas was talking. I could feel it when Zach was talking. I could feel it when Lowry was talking. It's come on, guys. When you're in a shitty place in your life, you know what, and people can tell. They might not know what you're going through, but they can tell that something's on your mind. And when you come out of it and you're in a good place, okay, people can tell that too. And watching those guys yesterday, it seemed like they were in a better place, okay? And that's because of AK, Mark Eversley, Billy the Kid, Mo Cheeks, because of this whole staff. And psychologically, because remember, it's a job. It is their job. It is a multi-million-dollar job that they have, but it is still a job. And how many of you, when you go to work, like going to work? There are some people who do. Some people who love what they do, whatever it is they do, whether it be teaching, whether it be coaching, whether it be, you work for this in this office, this accounting from that, and you love what you do, and you love going to work. And then you have other people who just dread going to work, and they got to go to work because they have to provide for their family. Those are two different things. You get two different efforts from those types of people. And when you got guys who are really who are going to work because they love it, because they enjoy it, man, you're going to get the maximum effort out of those type of players. So
It doesn't take a blind man, Shawn. And honestly, Chicagoans know basketball. Chicago basketball fans know basketball, dude. Like we know this. You can't hide like that energy, that energy that you talk about. I watched Billy Donovan's interview last night right before I went to bed because it just happened to pop up. I was like, oh wow, great! Like I was kind of surprised. Like he interviewed. I was like, oh my god! Like a coach took a step forward. Like he stepped up to the plate and took an interview. Like, all right, let's do this. And it just sounded like a leader.
Yeah.
I'll just say that it sounded like a guy who had a plan for every player on his team. And that's what I was most impressed with. I was like, yeah, I think this is exactly the direction we need to head.
Yeah. You could have ended that whole thing by he's a leader. And you would have been, and you're right on point. That would have been the most succinct answer because you're right. His tone, his definitive nature, and he's got you believing. You know what I mean? And we're just listening to we're just listening to an interview. Imagine what he's got to his players. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's what we need. We haven't had that type. We haven't had that type of competency at the head coach position since Tibbs.
Yeah. There was no. I haven't felt excited about the Chicago Bulls in a while. I mean, I've been excited for the players because I'm like, man, maybe these guys will be solid, and then maybe down the line they'll put something together. But no, it feels like, all right, it's here now. Like this is the direction we're going to go. And I mean, granted, maybe some of the guys aren't going to be here. Maybe we keep talking about Zach LaVine potentially on the trade block. Who knows? But what sounded to me is that Zach is going to be play a heavy part. He's going to be the guy, but like Darnell said, how are they going to incorporate him into the team mentality? Not just you taking the last shot because you're the best player. You being the best player and finding the best shot for the team to win. Like that's to me, that spoke volumes to me. It's like, all right, now it's going to be a team focused, but you're going to put guys in a position to succeed, not just standing around. I like the fact that I heard movement instead of just standing like fucking statues out there. Why have your 7-footer who's been hitting the weight room year after year, wants to get better, is dying to get better down in the paint. Why do you have him on the outside just sitting there? Why do you have him like a scarecrow out there? Like it never made sense to me. I've never been more excited. Well, like I said, probably since Tibbs. I haven't been excited since Tibbs, like you said, Shawn. You're absolutely right, and I just can't wait. I can't wait to see what is the next step for these Bulls.
Yeah, I want to see Lowry setting picks because now you're in mismatches, and now you get him the ball. If he sets the pick and rolls or pick and pop, and depending who gets him on the switch, I mean, you're screwed. If you're a big man, you're probably not as nimble-footed as him. If you're a small man, well, I'm just backing your little ass in, and until I force. So your defense is forced to double team me because I keep scoring, okay, and they have to bring a man down, and then that's where he's able to hit the ball or to kick it out to whoever's open for a nice uncontested three, or he could just go right at it, get a 2 and 1. There's so many different things, and that's why Lowry's huge. I guess pun intended, but that's why he's vital, is because when you have multiple options, like you can't double team anybody. And if this Otto Porter Jr. thing, turns good for the fans and he stays, well, then now you got a legit 3-point shooter. You got a dead-eye 3-point shooter. And you have Zach LaVine, a guy who can score, Lauri Markkanen, who we hope his confidence is up and he's able to score. And then you got a dead-eye 3-point shooter. And then not to mention see where Kobe White is in his development. I mean, who are you gonna double team? Who can you focus on?
I know. There's a rap on Otto because of the picture, the video, right? And like Darnell said, come on now, let's be real.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care as long as Otto buys in. If Otto buys in, all right, cool, because you won't see that shit. If Otto buys in, if a player buys in and believes in the team, you're not going to – I mean, the team obviously will get more publicity. I mean, you might see some stuff, but you're not going to worry about it because he's all in on his team. He's all in on the court. That's all you need to do is get Otto hooked all in, and you ain't going to worry about what he's doing out there. Just make sure he's buying into what you want to do in your system. Unless Otto is a complete, POS, which I haven't heard that.
Yeah, me either.
All he did was go out and live his life. I mean, make sure he buys in. That's all I'm saying. Make sure Otto buys in because he is a key part. They are a different team when they have a dead-eye three-point shooter.
Because you got guys, you got the slashers, you have the Kobe Whites, you have the Zach LaVines, and when you slash and go to the hole, people have to collapse.
Mm-hmm.
You have to collapse, otherwise it's dunk city, it's lob, it's it's slam jam, thank you ma'am, all day long. So you got to collapse, and we talked about a moment ago, a dead-eye three-point shooter, man.
The difference in this league, especially with the team that you want to run, where everybody's a shooter. Everybody's a shooter. Yeah. So, I mean, I knew the people. Like we all felt the pieces were there with Jim Boylan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now that we have somebody who knows what the hell they're doing, we have two competent head coaches running the show, pretty much.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. Like these guys are all for it. You saw like you said, they're bought in. It seems like the team's bought into this, and that is the most exciting thing.
That's the most important thing, because the hell what we think, the hell how we feel, the hell it's not us. We're not playing for them. We're not out there on the court.
Right.
When they want to run through a brick wall, when they want to play for certain people, as we just mentioned literally 2 minutes ago, when you got guys who are going to work excited about going to work, you get a different effort than you do for someone who's just going for a paycheck. And if they're going because they're excited to play for Billy Donovan, they're excited to play for Mo Cheeks, they're excited to play for AK Arturas Karnisovas and Mark Eversley. Like people don't realize, like, if you're proud of the management,
mm-hmm.
I mean, how far that goes, in your effort. I know you're a professional and you should be giving up 100% effort all the time. I know, I get it. But when you're happy with the organization and you're happy with the coaching staff, you're happy with the players, it's a different vibe and a different energy, like Zach LaVine said, that you give off, you give to your players, you give when you're out there working on the court, and it's just different. And it seems like they're literally on that path of being different because of all the good energy that's being given off over on the west side, on next to the United Center.
Like I said, dude, I'm excited. It's the most important thing for your players to buy into what you're talking about, and playoffs. I'm thinking playoffs. Now I'm thinking playoffs. I'm not gonna lie. Now I really am thinking playoffs, and I don't know how far they're gonna go, but this is a good first step.
I'm excited. Well, listen, we got to take a quick break. We got to take our last break of the show, so don't go anywhere, folks. Keep it locked right here. Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago.
BoomerNaturals.com presents the Sports Flash on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone. White Sox manager Tony La Russa is changing his plea in a drunk driving case in Arizona. He had previously pleaded not guilty to a pair of drunk driving charges. It now appears he'll plead guilty to at least some charges at a hearing on December 21st. New Bulls coach Billy Donovan has only one losing season over his last 22 as a coach. He knows the task is tall as he takes over a Chicago franchise that's 87 games under 500 over the last 3 seasons. They haven't had a winning campaign since 2016. Training camp is underway, the team bringing back 13 of 15 from the main roster last season. Chris Dunn and Shaquille Harrison have departed. Newcomers include 4th overall pick Patrick Williams, undrafted free agent Devin Dotson, along with Garrett Temple, Noah Vonleh, and Zach Norville Jr. Boomer Naturals, your source for 3-layer protective face masks. Breathable protection for adults and kids. Save 20% with promo code SPORTS at BoomerNaturals.com. Doug Sanders, that's the Sports Flash, 1330 95.9 The Zone.
Listening to this Allstate commercial about savings might be the hardest thing about getting those savings. Save for simply becoming an Allstate customer. Save more for adding DriveWise. And save even more for driving safely. Visit Allstate.com or contact your local agent for a quote today. Allstate. Minimum effort, maximum reward.
Not available in every state. New customer savings based on early signing discount. Drive-bys is an optional feature. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
If I'm not commuting anymore, where do I really want to live?
While you handle life's questions, Merrill Guided Investing helps you manage your portfolio and invest for your next move with the option to work with an advisor at a low cost and minimum. Merrill, a Bank of America company. Visit merrilledge.com/investing goals to get started today.
Investing involves risk. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith Incorporated, both a registered broker-dealer and investment advisor, member SIPC. Investment products are not FDIC insured or not bank guaranteed and may lose value.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago on this Hump Day edition. We're in the home stretch here, the last segment of the show, and man, it's been a really good show to this point. We've had Cam Ellis from NBC Sports Chicago talking little Bears with us. We just got off with Darnell Mayberry from The Athletic, talking Bulls as the training camp began yesterday. And Ivan and I have been talking. You know, one of the things I do want to talk about is going back to the Bears and this defense. I'm really concerned. Because I don't know. I don't know what's been said with those guys, and then with Matt Nagy going off on the defense, with the inability or the refusal of officials to call holding calls on Khalil Mack. And my thing is this, like, let him play. Okay. Let him play. But if this guy, and you know who Khalil Mack is, everybody knows who he is. If he's not getting to the quarterback, there's got to be a reason. And when you see it, and I know the Bears, you know, because I don't know if you realize this, but what you can do is you can send, I don't know how many plays, but you can send a certain number of plays into the NFL after review tape and say, hey, listen, I need you to, guys, just take a look at this, watch this, whatever. Hey, we're getting held, watch this and call, make sure your officials are seeing this. And the Bears have to send in at least 5 freaking clips every week of Khalil getting held. I mean, they're holding his arm, they're holding him by the shoulder pad, they're grabbing his jersey, they're grabbing his leg. I mean, it's literally and some of the things, dude, that's assault in some states with what he has to go through.
It's the truth, and it sucks because it sounds like nagging. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It sounds like we're bitching about nothing because their team isn't.
Oh, your guy can't get to the quarterback. He had one good year, and that's it. Like, no, it's not it.
It's the truth. Like, the truth is that he's been held egregiously, and it's been. I mean, everybody has seen it. I mean, you could just go back and look at it. Go back and look at the tape. Go get the all 22. Look at that. Do whatever you have to do to go and see what the hell's been happening to Khalil Mack week in and week out. I mean, double, triple team, but I mean, he's been molested. Like, he's been mauled. Like, he's been like everything you could, like every type of holding penalty that you could probably have called should have been called. That's how bad Khalil Mack has been just attacked, and there's no like end in sight. It doesn't look like anybody's going to go ahead and give him any type of help with regards to the flags.
Yeah, and so my thought is this: like, how is he taking it? And I know, it's easy to say, well, you're getting paid X amount of millions of dollars. You're the most the highest paid player on the team, whatever. But it's different, man. That's where your mental fortitude comes in,
right?
Where you realize, okay, I'm not getting sacks. Okay, because I'm being held. They're not calling the holding penalties. People in the media and fans are still upset because I'm not getting these sacks. I need to continue doing other things, okay, that'll help. Like, there are times, like when I watch him, and then he sets the edge. Okay, he comes out there trying to run his way, and he attacks them. He sets the edge and allows other people to get it. Like that doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but that's fundamental football. And as long as he stays and continues fundamental football, I'm okay. And that's gonna hurt his numbers because either you're gonna run right at him and have a couple guys block him, or you're gonna run away from him and have a couple guys block him to keep him away. But if he stays fundamentally sound with his assignment on what he needs to do, depending on where the ball is going, if it's a run, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the not the huge sack numbers because one, they're getting the ball out quicker sometimes, but two, they're double, triple teaming and holding and molesting and assaulting this guy damn near every pass play.
Well, how much of this is this soft serve defense by Chuck Pagano? You know what I'm saying? Like this team hasn't gotten off. Like there hasn't been many blitzes that have gotten home. There hasn't been many situations where I've seen the defense just be aggressive. And maybe
I got a story for you. So I was one of the guys was talking with Chuck, and that was a question, and Chuck came out and told my guy, he's like, dude, he goes, I can't put our offense in that. He goes, I can't. He said he wants to blitz. He wants to put, he wants the pressure on their quarterback to be like it is on our quarterback. As soon as they get the ball in shotgun, like, okay. And he says, I just can't. He goes, if I bring the house, like I like to do, and I bring, a decent amount of guys, and it's a zero blitz. Okay. And for those of you who don't know, a zero blitz is there's no free safety in the middle of the field. Okay. And I go zero. Okay. I'm sending people. He goes, and they burn us. He goes 7-0. He goes, it's doable for us to come. He goes, but it gets a little scary. He goes, and if I do it again and we go down 14-0,
then
he says there's no way that the offense can do it. He said, so he wants to, and now remember all season I've alluded to that. I'm like, I don't think he wants to put that offense in that spot, and this has got to be killing him because that's going against who he is. Like that's Chuck Pagano when he I'm sending heat, and you got to deal with this heat. You want that smoke? Well, you got the smoke. Here comes the heat with it too, and it's got to be eating him inside that he can't release the hounds. He just can't do that. You know what I mean? And it's got to kill him.
I felt like last week he should have just done it for the hell of it. At a certain point, you already got 40. The guy's already scored 20-some points. Like you might as well have sent the dogs out. I understand. I understand his philosophy. I understand his frustration. I understand why he's doing what he's doing. But hey, man, what do we have to lose at this point? We have a doable schedule to where we can still, for some reason,
say it. Yes.
For some reason, and I don't even believe it, but for some reason, we'll still be in playoff contention.
And that's the worst thing for us right now. Ken said it, and I'm on board with it. I want this thing embarrassed. I want losses to be embarrassingly painful. Okay, embarrassingly painful. So you're forced to do something. Because if you go 9-7, guess what? Matt Nagy still doesn't have a losing record. You go to the playoffs and get bounced. We are a playoff team. In two of my 3 years, we've made it to the playoffs, and that's how they're going to spin it.
Give me the death blow now, and that's why I said That's why. And I was muted there because I tried to ask him the question there. I just started spurting out, But my point was, I'm looking for a big loss within these next couple games, within the doable games, because and I hope it is Jacksonville with Mike Glennon because it'll just all have come full circle.
Yes,
and it very well might be, dude. Like it very well might be, but don't send me into week. The last week of the season, Green Bay, sitting there looking at. Oh man, if we just beat Green Bay, we're gonna make the playoffs, and we get blown out 52-23. I'm gonna. What's the difference? What's the difference? At that point, if we lose early or if we end up shitting the bed to one of these teams in the next couple of weeks, I think we'll be better off because we'll know exactly where we're going. We'll know exactly the the thoughts will start to heed, and we'll be able to move on quicker. I just don't want to be lingering around with this BS, knowing who this offense is, and knowing the head coach is out there trying to get in his defense's ass, knowing all year long they've been the only consistent, and that's not even because of you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not even you. So I would rather them stick the knife in my back sooner rather than later.
But also, I never want to see a team take, tank, especially one of my teams.
No.
But who do we have on the other? And they're talking about, you got better draft position. You got better draft position. You go, you lose and you just lay an egg the rest of the year. You are in right outside the top 5. Right outside the top 5 in the draft in the draft order. Now you can package a team, or you can package a player or players if you wanted to move up, if you see someone that you really like. And now you could get a guy with an impact. But then again, here we go. Is Ryan Pace going to be the guy pulling the trigger, calling the shots on a first-round pick? He's had 1 out of 4 first-round picks that have been good. 1. So that alone is cause for concern. But I was just saying, if you lose out, you're close. You're right outside the top 5, maybe even number 5 worst teams. And if you want to jump up, you could package one of these guys, okay, or a couple of late round draft picks to get into the, to move up a spot or something like that, where you can get an impact player. Because if you want to go quarterback this year, okay, there are a couple of good quarterbacks that you could take. Okay, and you want him to develop, and then you go after your offensive lineman maybe later in the first, your trade deck into the first round, and there's a whole bunch of different scenarios that can happen. So I'm just, I rather what you said, just jag the rest of the season, get us higher draft position, because if we 8-8, we finish 8-8, we finish 9-7. God for freaking bid, we go to the playoffs. We're smack dab in the middle or toward the bottom. We're toward the 18, 19, 20. And what are we going to do? Are we going to get an impact player at 18, 19, 20? Possibly. No.
Nick Foles' ass cheek is going to heal up, and he's going to lead us to the Super Bowl. That's what's going to happen, right?
So, it's I want Brown in a blaze of glory.
Yeah.
You start 5-1. You don't make the playoffs because you have a 10-game losing streak to finish the season. Oh, dude, that'd be great. That'd be great. That would be great. Because at that point, Ryan Pace knows he's gone. Man, Nagy damn sure knows he's gone. And we can wipe this, start all over.
Yeah. And like you're gonna see you're gonna see Nick Foles next year.
Yeah.
You're gonna see Nick Foles next year.
Too much money.
Too much money. You need a bridge into whatever the hell you're going to do next. So that's there. I guess he's going to know a little bit. I mean, it doesn't matter if he's going to know this offense or not, because this coach is going to be there. So he'll have to learn a whole new offense with whoever's going to be the head coach, because I think this head coach is out the door.
Yeah. Switching gears a little bit, talking Bulls in the final stretch. One of the things, this is the final year of Lauri Markkanen's rookie contract. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a cool thing. I guess from the Bulls' perspective, it's a good thing that he didn't blow up and become a star, because now they can finagle and give him a little bit of a lower contract, because he hasn't been healthy, so he hasn't been able to put up those star or those superstar numbers. And I hope they're superstar numbers very soon. But the deals is they're talking. The deadline is December 21st. Excuse me. He said he would like to be a Bull, and I think he wants to stay here, especially with the new regime. Him and Arturas Karnisovas are both European. They both, I would imagine, have a very similar philosophy. Obviously, they've talked already since he's been in the building for a while. And after seeing his press conference yesterday and seeing how happy he was and excited to be a Bull, I think he's definitely drinking the AK Kool-Aid. So, and this is what we were talking about with Darnell. When you get a guy like that who can step his game up and be another option at the end of the game. I mean, remember Golden State back in the, before the Clay injury 7 years ago. Seems like that's how long it's been. But you had Stephen Clay. This is before KD got there. This is way before KD got there. You had Stephen Clay, and who you gonna guard? You can't double team anybody else because then they'll hit Draymond underneath. They'll hit Andre Iguodala. They had so many guys, but they had two guys who, when the game's on the line, they can close. And this is where I want Lowry to be. I want him to be one of our closers, and I think he can be. Actually, I know he can be.
Mm-hmm.
But he's got to get his confidence back, and I think you get your confidence back by going down, banging people, okay, getting and ones. There's so many things that this guy can do. He can do everything for a big man, everything. And I'll tell you what, I couldn't love it more. I really, really couldn't with his potential. Because remember, they were talking about him wanting to get out of town last year.
Yeah, man, and you know what? To think about how you got Zach and Lowry. Like, you were making the change for a reason when you first got them. Now you're talking about making a complete scrapping that and starting over with God knows who. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's just Kobe White, excuse me, I'm not trusting this team. But now you have both of them. Now you have both Lowry and Zach and Kobe, or all three of them, excuse me. And then Lowry with confidence. I'm good. Give Lowry some confidence and let's see when you let him loose. He was a statue last year.
Mm-hmm. So that's going to be really fun to watch. It's going to be to see because I think that I've been a big Lowry fan, and to get him back to the point where he is a legitimate threat,
right?
An end of the game threat, man. It doesn't get doesn't get any better than that. So, looking forward to the season. Notre Dame has already secured a spot in the ACC championship game. There are a couple other schools who've been affected by COVID, and the most important one is Ohio State. If Ohio State misses one more game, they're out. Okay, they are not allowed to participate due to the lack of a specified number of games for qualification into the Final Four, the tournament. This is why this was so huge for Northwestern, who dropped to number 14 from number 8 last week. Had they won and won out and gone to the Big Ten championship and won the Big Ten championship game down in Indy, wouldn't that have been something? Northwestern being in the Final Four, in football's Final Four. Okay, but my thought was, Northwestern's game got canceled this week because of COVID. Uh-huh. What's going to happen if they can still make it? Northwestern and Ohio State get to the Big Ten championship game, and Wednesday of the week leading up to the Big Ten championship game, Ohio State gets hit with some more COVID cases. Do you still play the game? I say yeah, since you're going to be down there, but it's definitely not a representation of the best team in the Big Ten. There's got to be something that they can do. It's and don't get me wrong, in Northwestern they've got one more game against Illinois, which they should win. And they'll be the West representative of the Big Ten. The Big Ten, they'll be the champion of the Big Ten West, going up against the Big Ten East champion, and that'll probably be Ohio State. So it'll be Northwestern Ohio State in Indianapolis in a couple of weeks. That was a window that they missed, and I don't know where to put that, where that blame goes. Okay, because you had the Big Ten title game, but by the short and curlies, but you were well within reach of a spot in the national champion in the Final Four, national championship football playoff. and they blew it. Despite the situation, COVID, and not all teams playing and some teams forfeiting, if they're able to get to the championship game, just getting to the Final Four, first of all, is a huge accomplishment. It's huge. You talk about recruiting, that goes a long way in recruiting. But they screwed that up. So now what do? You know, what does college football do? Okay, with all these cases, all these games that are being canceled by COVID. You know, Ivan and I just mentioned that the Northwestern game was it Northwestern Wisconsin. That what it was this weekend. Yeah, that got canceled because of COVID. So what's going to happen if one of the teams in the Big Ten championship come down with COVID? An epidemic hits COVID.
Hey, you know, I'll say this. Some teams already have had this happen to them, Shawn. The Big Ten made a choice. The Big Ten made a choice, and I'm not knocking them for the choice that they made, because they, as a conference, a group, an organization, they made a definitive choice. That's fine with me. I'm cool with that. But I'm also cool with you living and dying by those choices. Now, let's say they started when everybody started. Maybe you have some of these issues and you're able to corral that before it ends up becoming a problem. They're only worried because they don't have enough wins. They don't have enough wins. That's why that's why Ohio State's worried. That's why some of these other schools are worried, because some of the schools that made that choice, not saying it was the wrong choice at all whatsoever. I was impressed that they made the choice. That they put their foot down and said, this is where we're going, instead of just, you know, beating around the bush until somebody else made the choice for them. But this is what it's gonna be. I mean, what did you expect? Everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of other teams have dealt with this, and they ended up fixing their problem. Now you're catching this late in the season. What if you would have been able to deal with this when you weren't playing a conference game? You know what I'm saying? When you were playing IUPUI or whatever the hell whatever lesser college team you were playing. But no, you made your choice. You jumped in when you did, and now it's coming up in the biggest games of the season. Whose fault is this? Like, I don't think anybody's to blame, but this is just the reality of what is.
Well, listen, guys, 3 hours has come and gone. Unbelievable. I want to thank my guests for Joseph Phillips for calling in, coming out 9 to 10 every day in the top of the morning segment. But I want to thank Cam Ellis from NBC Sports Chicago for calling in, talking a little Bears with us. I want to thank my guy Darnell Mayberry from The Athletic for calling in, talking a lot of Bulls. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you to my Puerto Rican Swiss Army knife himself, Ivan Vargas. Shout out to Elliot Baez, our technical director, and Clarence Council, our social media posting guru. All you guys made it a great show, and we appreciate it. Well, listen, we're going to take another 45-hour break, excuse me. We're going to be back on Friday. And on Friday, I can tell you this. We got Lance Irving. He's one half of the duo that hosts What's Up Cuz. Lance Irving is the men's head basketball coach at Chicago State University. However, he decided not to coach this season due to COVID, and he has some underlying health issues. He's a two-time cancer survivor. Okay, cancer survivor, and they thought that it would be in his best interest to not do that. So we're going to get his story. We're going to get his story on Friday. So you're going to make sure it'll be the last hour. So it's going to be from 11 to 11:40 that we have Lance Irving. So you're definitely going to want to make sure that you check that out. Well, listen, we got to run. All right. I'm going to go home, but I can't stay here. I want to say thank you to Ivan for running this nice and smooth. So listen, I'm your boy, the Superback, Shawn Sierra, and we will see you in 45 hours. Peace.
Hey, this is not a peace sign either. We're back to back. Or we chomping, you know what I'm saying? And this is cutting down nets and chomping. I've had many dreams about this, for real, literally. and it's just exciting to have the draft in your hometown too. I mean, we're going to the NBA. We're going to the NBA.
With the 9th pick, the Chicago Bulls draft Joakim Noah from the University of Florida.